I go drink to that.
We in the rum shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
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 So bring a rum, bring it come in the rum shop talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So bring a rum, bring it come in the rum shop talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Rum Shop Talk. Steve Matteson, Phillip, Edward Alexander, and of course myself, Stephan Reis, with you. We took a little break last week to get our sanity in order. Hopefully.
Did it work?
I don't know. You get your sanity, Matteson?
A break is necessary.
You get your groove back?
A break is necessary.
Everybody you get a sanity, a little part of the sanity back?
Get your groove back.
Because you know, Colman going to drive me mad on Monday, right? We'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, so we'll talk a little budget, we'll talk a little crime. On the crime issue, I feel we had to talk to these youths, you know. We had to talk to these youths. I read the article today where the parents said they didn't know that the children was involved in these things. They were shocked to find out. They don't even know where they got the guns from and how they got involved in that type of lifestyle.
Yeah, everybody will say that.
And one mother said she glad her son died.
And that's the point. If I come into that conversation
Yeah.
at all, that's where I would come in from. That these parents are so at their wits' end in a society where you have nothing to streamline your children into after education. After they come out of school, there's nothing. Getting into the army, getting into the Coast Guard, getting into the police service. A lot of these young boys would like to get into something like that and have a job, but it is very difficult.
Yeah.
And we have nothing after. There is this huge waning gap between finished Form 5 in some of these secondary schools, and you cannot get into university with your whatever passes you have.
Yeah.
But these children should be able to get into, it should be easy to get into welding, air conditioning, plumbing, masonry. These children not. I'll tell you something. I work it out. The fella who's cut my hair, a fella called Master of Fades. I say he must be doing about $250,000 a month. No joke.
A month?
A month as a barber. As a barber. He's making real money. Tiling. See ceramic tiles on the floor, porcelain tiles, tiling. A good tile man would make anywhere up from $12 a square foot. So that means you tile in a house, you put in another $40,000. That's 3-4 days work. And I'm saying this to you because the people in the construction sector, good tile people, hard to find. Very hard to find because we're not creating tile people. In fact, in Trinidad's construction sector right now, I would estimate about 25%, if not more, of the skilled labor are Venezuelans.
I no doubt in that.
Our people.
You're seeing it. Yes, you can see it through the eyes.
So when that mother said that she glad her son dead as a parent, I don't know how you reach there. How bad it had to be.
For you to yeah. Because, say you're glad
because you
child
can't
dead.
control your child. When a child become a big man and he trying to go down a wrong path and you fighting to pull him back, mother and father don't sleep at night. Parents that care don't sleep at night.
Well,
when you're
Well, you shouldn't be waiting to pull a child back when they reach big. The Bible tells you that grow your child in a way that when they reach old, when they grow up age, they wouldn't depart.
I agree with you,
Yeah.
but you see, all them hormones running in them boys' head, right? You talk about the kids, and I want to agree with you. But everybody between the age of 15 and 50, driven, young men especially, testosterone is a serious thing. These guys want to have thing in life, and they have no way to get thing.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like somebody calling this morning on my show and they said, Stephan, I'm trying to figure out how these boys end up liking that kind of lifestyle. But it's really easy. And we've spoken about this already. And I think many people already, we don't talk about it enough. And I just want to go back to this device here. And every social media platform that you could think about that that youth that age paying attention to. If I Google now, and you know that, Philip, if you Google knee pads, you just Google knee pads because you're looking for knee pads. After you Google that and you click on a link and read that, on every social media platform through your feed, you will get an ad about knee pads.
Absolutely.
So, if you enter the gunman lyrics and the badman music and the gangster scene, and you Google it or you YouTube and you watch particular types of music videos,
it takes you down other parts that you wasn't even thinking about.
and it constantly in your face.
Barrages,
So it constantly there, and that is the sell. That is what is selling, because you have now opened a portal, and you have let the social media gods know this is what you like, and they flood in your newsfeed with it. And we know how subliminal marketing works. If you feed somebody that, I mean, there's a reason why they call it television programming, right? So the more you feed somebody something, is the more subliminally they're going to buy into it, and they're going to go in the grocery and they're going to pick up the product without even thinking about it.
Correct.
Right? So when you have social media like Facebook and everything feeding that negative algorithm or whatever it is that it is feed on these people Facebook page and Instagram and even TikTok.
No, but it messaging you and WhatsApping you.
It brainwashes
But I want to ask you a question.
young people at a very delicate stage of their development.
Right, but you're saying that, right? But why, if you look, no, this is what I want to tell you, this is why I want to bring you back to the poverty aspect.
Right.
Because the little, I had to say, the little white boys in Bayshore and Westmoreland, them like Zest music too.
Of course.
Them listening to Zest music
Yeah,
too.
but they ain't going to get an AR-15 and put on a robbery.
And why?
Right.
They get in the same algorithm, it coming at you with the same
Yeah.
crap, but they have options.
Point taken.
So at the end of the day, you have to consider that there are needs. We talk about this on this program already. There are needs that people would genuinely like to fulfill in their life. Right?
Of course.
Maslow tell you that you wouldn't reach to the next level if you didn't complete the needs on the first level, right? So the thing is, the little boy in, you talk about Westmoreland and Bayshore, the little boy in Arima and Mova and Laventille and that kind of thing, they have the same needs.
Same exact.
They have the same.
The advertising that's trying to sell it.
It's just that those needs are somewhat frustrated. So they would look for other means to satisfy it.
To satisfy it, yeah.
And that's the problem.
You and I know, if women started dating men who driving Buffalo cart, all the way have a Buffalo cart.
Of course.
Man looking for Ferrari Buffalo.
Yeah.
Right? Women, let's be honest.
It's true.
Everything that men do is driven, for the most part, to get a mate, to get sex. All of our music, all of our culture, that's what it's predicated on.
Yeah.
The understanding that Didakin is a multi-millionaire, filling that need. That everything is about sex. Mark Twain said, everything is about sex, except sex. Sex is about power.
Right.
But every young man, so what you say is correct, and what you said is correct. If we understand that, there's something else that we're not looking at, and that is the absence of an emotional toolkit for men. Men are allowed two emotions, anger and happiness. We can't be sad.
The latter of which most men rarely find, but go ahead. The happiness part, most men very rare they find that.
But when you said
But they're looking for it all the time.
But they're constantly
it's
looking
like
for it.
cocaine.
Yeah.
You're always looking for it.
when you said about how they send the information to you, who is even more sophisticated is the advertising companies who creates ads aimed at that demographic. That is the largest spending demographic. Teenagers into adulthood, they are the most conspicuous consumers. They will buy crap. The rest of us, when people get to a certain age, they try to start saving money to get into buying bigger things. House, right? So you start looking at, I'm going to put on funds to save for my fridge and my stove and whatever. But the young people, left pocket, right pocket, cash register.
Yeah, you could get them to buy any little.
And they will usually fashion the narrative also, because they are the ones who will influence most of the spending. even
Yeah.
if they are not doing it directly.
Because most,
They are the one who will
yeah,
will wear the brands. They are the ones who will, do whatever is necessary
And-
to continue the trend.
and just on the gender thing and the crime situation, a lot of these little fellas and them out here committing crime to give some girl some money,
Well,
to give some girl.
Well,
No, but that's what it
goes
is.
back to the whole thing that
that you were saying.
But I remember when we was young, people used to talk when Chinese laundry party coming up, crime going up.
Yeah.
Because people had to get the tickets.
Tickets, yeah.
But not only the tickets, your girl had to get an outfit. Because
Yeah.
she had to show up she friends.
Exactly.
And you ain't want your girl to leave you for a next man who could fill her needs. And that is what it is.
And that's what it is, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. On another side of that, right, in terms of what we're talking about here, if we could just, I mean, obviously the security guard issue, with the whole shootout, with the whole killing, well, it's a killing and a robbery, murder and robbery, by Pennywise and La Romaine, because that's what sparked the conversation here, right? We was talking about the youths.
But people wouldn't let you make excuses,
No, we're not making that, and
No,
I
but
want to make
people-
that clear. We're not making an excuse
No,
for
but
them.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. What I mean is, when I say it, I'm not knocking you. I'm saying that even if you try to rationalize what could be a causative effect for this, people not letting you. We are only about
Emotion.
blame, shame, blame.
Emotion.
So we act like that. We are not dealing from the position of what could be driving our young men to be acting,
to be
this
acting that way. What it is going on. Now I have often said, and I think you said it, you never hear, you very much doubt that the neighbor will call the police and say you're disturbing me if you're playing Barry White or some kind of nice music
Barry
that we know
Manilow.
as good music, right? Now you have a whole culture where gangs, pimps, drugs and guns is the order of the day. And if you're not into that, you ain't cool. You see the whole cool thing flip. Back in my time growing up, that was the bad thing. You understand? Now, they're selling it as a good thing.
But every race,
And they're selling the good thing
every
as a
race-
bad thing.
You see Peaky Blinders. Peaky Blinders
Oh,
is
yeah.
one of the biggest shows on TV.
Bad. Wicked.
That the Peaky Blinders is
Oh,
that
yeah.
is selling gang culture. It is selling.
Oh, sir.
It is selling badness.
Yeah.
Right? So you're programming into these children's heads. Now let's go back to when we're talking about
Go narco. With Pablo Escobar, you saw yeah,
using
Pablo.
examples of places like Bayshore, Westmoreland,
Yeah.
Gulfview. Because you also have to look at this. In some communities in Trinidad, you have to look at the poverty, how in the poorer communities there is a higher likelihood that a single mother raising a child
Than in
than upscale communities. Because even if it's a single mother raising a child in an upscale community, chances are she living with her parents. They're
Okay.
not abandoning her outside there on her own.
So at the
personal-
end of the day, it still comes back to economics.
Economics.
always comes back
You
to
know,
the
economics.
still comes
It is
back to that.
economics driving this crime.
Yeah.
There are people who will tell you poverty is not a cause for crime, and those people who say that not poor.
Yeah.
Because if they knew what it was like to experience not being able to just meet your basic needs, forget your wants or the drives that you have
Yeah.
as a young person to want to get a mate and you want to impress her and you want to impress your friends and your Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When he mentioned that there, that is like the manual for human development. Sometimes you might find yourself when you sit back and you think, I might have done something that I didn't like that I did it, and you think back, what made me do that?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
Why would I have made that decision to say that or do that?
Or do that, yeah.
And then we realize that hormones in our body more powerful than conscious thought. The amount of people sitting on death row today that kill somebody out of anger, their mind, their conscious thought knows that killing somebody is wrong and that they could end up in jail. But the emotion in the moment stronger and overrides them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see, the thing is, you started by saying that men hasn't been able to more or less understand that emotional side of them, and that has a lot. That's a big statement because
Of course.
in a lot of ways, we aren't able to sublimate those innate needs and feelings for more positive things. You know, sex and anger and all that kind of
Yeah.
thing. I think it was Napoleon Hill that spoke about that years ago. If we are only able to sublimate that we will be so constructive. We'll be able to do so much more things.
Yeah.
Just sit down and internalize your position and take it to other levels. You know, think about what you're going to do. Think before you make you make a move.
Yeah.
That to a large extent helps you to get out of these kind of positions.
I think too, one of the problems with men and emotion is that men learn when they're growing up. If you crying as a little boy,
You're like, yeah.
yeah, we are crying for is a little girl.
Yeah.
So from the word go, a little boy tells himself, if I cry, I'm less a man. I'm less of a man.
Big men
don't cry. Right? So you grow up now holding all these emotions inside because you are ashamed now that your peers gonna see you crying. Until the day come that you explode and you let it out in the most violent manner.
I wanted to add to what he was saying just now.
And just before you add to that, on the economic side of things with crime, I told somebody just 48 hours ago, I said, let me ask you something. You think it have poor black people? Say yeah. I say think it have poor white people? Say yeah. I say it have poor Chinese people? Yeah. It have poor Indian people? Every ethnicity you could think about, poverty exists in some form. Right? And everywhere you have poverty, you have desperation. And anywhere you have desperation, expect somebody to do something illegal. It's as simple as that. So you have to accept the fact it's not so much of a cultural thing, like people want to say we have a culture of crime and violence now. It's not a cultural thing. It's an economic thing. And the government has proven that because they've thrown money. Governments have proven that. Let me just say government to make it feel like it's this one alone. But governments and leaders have proven that because they keep pumping money into the Ministry of National Security and we spending topping money and going nowhere. Where that money, half of that money went into community development, went into some sort of social and community programs, went into sport. You know what I mean? We would be better off right now. We would be better off right now.
So one is waiting to see what the budget will say.
I want to say to you just now when you was talking, because there's a saying, anger is love disappointed. That is what anger is. Love disappointed. You talking about men. I had to become a big man in my 40s to be able to have those kind of conversations. You know how many people end up in rehab for drugs and alcohol and all the different things because the reason we have so much addictions in men is because men trying to satisfy that pain that they're walking around with every day. They're not resolving issues. Women resolve issues. Women cry it out. Women talk it out.
They cuss it out.
We don't have an Oprah. We don't have an Ellen. We don't have shows where men sit down. This that we're talking about here. There are some men watching the show right now. They're shifting from side to side. They're squeamish. They can't rationalize that men have the exact same emotional needs as women. And that men should be able to talk to their friends about what they're going through.
Exactly.
There should be some system from teenage years. You said it in schools. And next thing you had said just now, you said that all communities have poverty, and that's true. But in Trinidad, it's not the same poverty.
Oh yeah,
it's not the same type of poverty. And somebody had said,
is it better or worse?
Well, I'll tell you now. Somebody had said during the lockdown, they said that all of us in the same boat. And somebody said, no, we're in the same storm. We're not in the same boat.
Okay.
You might be on a Bertram. I might be in an open period. And I looking to drink seawater. You're drinking Perrier still.
Yeah.
And having to go through something without also having to deal with poverty mind-numbing poverty as a parent. And I'll say this. When my son was 10, when he was 10 years old,
Yeah.
I went through a low period in my life financially, very low. And it is only then you realize, as a parent, that you are driven for these little people to meet their needs, and when you can't, thoughts pass through your mind.
Yeah.
And if I could say that there are people in this country, because I said that I came out of what I went through because I had advantages. And I think that life gives you the opportunity to experience things so you can start to see the world through other people's eyes. When you live in Morvan, Beetham, Lavantil, Silots, and are calling those communities more than anywhere else, Morvan, Beetham, Lavantil, Silots, there are bad communities in Trinidad everywhere.
Yeah.
There's Cocorite and Waterhole and Hardin Place and everything in Caranage,
Bagatelle.
Big Yard,
Yeah.
all of that, right? Bagatelle, River Estate. But those places don't have the reputation that Morvan, Beetham, Lavantil, Silots have.
Why?
Because that is Trinidad. People think that when you think hotspot, you give everybody top of mind.
Yeah.
Name the hotspot
First thing,
in Trinidad, Morvan, Beetham,
Lavantil,
Lavantil,
Mova.
Silots.
Yeah,
So I just
there's
say,
that stigmatization.
no. Well, yes,
Yeah.
that's the point. Because if you coming from there and you going to try to get a job
Come
somewhere,
Selvon, come
and
Selvon.
someone in the back,
You can
come
sit down
fall
and eat your
in.
yogurt on the side. You could eat it here. Come,
Yeah,
come.
just say that I was to bring ice cream, boy.
But
They
here's
drop
we had some ice
first.
cream to sample.
I will send the driver. No, I ain't bring it.
Oh, you didn't bring it? All right.
But yeah, man.
We have to,
And
yeah.
that's it. That's a very important issue.
Yeah.
That when you're coming out of those communities and you want to go and apply for a job and you fill out an application form, you
But I
hear
have been
them
told-
tell one
I have been-
another.
I have been told by
don't
people-
put Lavantil
That's right.
or Beetham on
You can't
your
put- you
application.
can't put that.
They're not hiring you.
You got to put something else. Otherwise, they're not going to hire
So you
you.
gotta find a friend who lives in somewhere else and ask them if they could receive any messages for you there.
No.
You're correct to some extent. I live in those communities, and I've been able to see a difference over the years. But yeah, you're correct. You're correct. Those communities do have stigmatizations, and that, to a large extent, is one of the things that prohibits those communities and people in those communities
From developing.
development,
yeah.
in kind of way.
Yeah. Because you see, the need to, I always believe, man, if you spend money on the communities with projects, and we're not talking big billion-dollar projects. I talking about, listen, it have a wall falling down wrong, so we need to rebuild our wall and paint it a nice, bright, fresh color, and just give the community an entire facelift. I always believe you are where you live. So if
Well,
you
you're
live
touching on
in a
some
broken
big
down community, if you go to a school that is falling apart,
Brother,
it will shape the way that your character is
tomorrow.
from a mental standpoint.
100%.
Tomorrow go Fatima. Just drive past Fatima and then drive past Southeast Port of Spain. Drive past those two schools and tell yourself, if I go into Fatima College and they have guards outside, when I say guards, there are people outside making try getting the school across the road, the grounds is across the road. I seen the groundskeepers clipping the lawn and the fence getting, and then I go Southeast Port of Spain and things are falling apart. It is literally falling apart. You cannot pretend that the environment is not having an impact on the children.
That's another factor. That's another factor, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put in your 2 cents, man. Welcome to the show.
I just passed by yogurt.
You eat your yogurt and talk now.
He passed by the yogurt, man. He passed by yogurt and eat it here and promote the yogurt while you don't study. He passed by yogurt. You could have passed 3:30. You could have passed 6:15.
But what are we talking about?
You passed now.
What are we talking about?
So we catch you.
Still
We're talking about crime. We're
It
talking about
started off
crime.
with the parent anyway, stay here. But it reached here.
As well pull me, I feel ambushed,
Yeah.
to some extent.
So we're talking about
No
crime
pun
and defense.
intended.
Which is
No
what
pun
happened. Which is
intended.
what happened
Yeah.
to the
No,
guys at Allied.
You touched on something there just now that and just this week here, I'm going through some email and I saw an email that had written Prime Minister Patrick Manning, where we had done over 400 contracts had given in communities in Trinidad and so forth, and the positive impact it had on that. So when you think of that, say, wow, why deja vu?
Yeah.
What we did, and you're so correct, we had asked the cabinet to allow us to approve contracts to contractors in the community.
In the community, that's
the
right.
contracts was being given out. Cabinet
Painters,
approved
the
it.
painters, the masons, everybody
And
living in the
we
community.
took
yeah.
advantage of that in the sense that in the Mover Lavantil area, you had to be a contractor registered. Living in Mover Lavantil, they get a contract to do work in Mover Lavantil.
I'll tell you, get me vex, eh? I'll tell you, get me vex in this show. Because I know a Syrian woman who have the contract to maintain the HDC projects in Lavantil and Mita.
Not under me.
But I'm saying to you
But you
that
are
your point is correct.
Yeah.
And in Trinidad, we are so disgusting
Yeah.
that we do not have to care that we are sowing the seeds of our own destruction when we take food out of people's mouth. I get richer.
Yeah.
I get more money.
Yeah.
All.
All is mine. So I go down inside of there.
All.
We even went so far, guys, that we said, look, we try to encourage, if material have to be purchased for a project, you purchase from a hardware within the community. We try to build and
Keep
develop
everything,
community
yes,
so
yes,
everybody in the
yes.
community rise together.
That's what we
and
talking
so forth.
about, man.
So I put the money in the community, I empower the contractors in the community to build the community using local suppliers in the community. That is so
only
easy
solution.
to do.
But that is the only
And you know what that
You
costs?
boost
huh?
that whole economic
For,
zone
yes,
right
sir.
there.
For that over 400 contract, you know what it costs the country? $75 million. Small money.
Small money to develop a community like small money.
Osman, I want to tell you something.
We spend way more than
People
that
in the
a stadium in Aruba.
HDC, there's all of this in the media. People in the HDC had raised the issue about these contracts being given out to people outside of the
That's
communities.
crazy.
Yeah.
And were sued, lost their jobs. This happened under Kamala. You could go and research this. And when you raise that point there, Trinidadians have to understand none of this that is going wrong in this country is accidental. None of it.
You know what we did too? I like where you're going, and if this is the construct of your governance model, is a winning governance model to build Trinidad and Tobago. Because my philosophy at the time was build it in microcosms. Little piece, little piece, little piece. Look at the needs inside there. Because the needs in the West is not the needs in Mover. The needs in Central is not the need in San Fernando. Omearo.
The Progressive Empowerment Party says that a nation is a collection of communities.
Of course.
You fix the community, and that's what we talk about in all these shows. The education in Southeast Port of Spain must be treated with the same respect as Fatima, as QRC, as Presentation College.
Yes.
If you are not, you are creating a two-tiered society. And when that produces something, and it ends up outside Pennywise with guns blaring, those sit down trying to think of how to put together a committee
those
to
are why
discuss.
happen. Why
You
happen.
plant that, you
Yeah.
reap that.
Yeah.
He just talk. He raised the issue that brought you to that. I went down Nelson Street and filmed the space that Keith Rowley wanted to turn into a panyard. That space could hold football fields, cricket fields, basketball courts, tennis courts, swimming pool. You see the size of this place? If you see the massive space in Brazil, in the barrios, in Argentina, when you see where Messi learned to play football, Lionel Messi, who's a billionaire, where he learned to play football, is like a car park, side by side by side by side. You have a space, you jump in there and you're sweating there. Nelson Street, before it, is a 5-story building falling apart. Now it literally, in total derelict. That 5-story building could be doing homework supervision for all the children in the community. Homework supervision is what helps children assimilate what they did in school today, so that tomorrow when the teacher mounts up the same child, the child is a little more educated and is keeping up with the class. We're not doing that in the poor communities, but in the wealthier communities, they have homework supervision. Let's talk something else. After the piece of land, they have a next derelict multi-story building. that you could be using to teach children art. Let me not say poor black people and only make them into mason and welder. We also want to talk art. We also want to talk other things to take people to a next level. There are disciplines that should be available to people at all levels of society. That's not on the corner of that street and Independence Square behind the cathedral is a massive building that used to be, I think, Workers' Bank.
It's still empty.
That used to be Workers' Bank.
Yeah.
A massive concrete building that will be there for the next 100 years, but it's derelict. You're trying to tell me that couldn't be a place to train
I
people?
was doing some work on that building sometime ago.
Never.
Breaking it
Phillip,
or something.
Skills.
Let me tell you
skill
something,
center,
eh?
but I just want to ask you, Selma, if you had passed down Nelson Street from where it started, I think it started at Queen, from where it started all the way down to Independence Square, if you did just those things, create sports academies, create homework supervision, create a center for the arts. A center for the arts don't have to look like Napa. A center for the arts is dance. So this floor is dance. This floor is music producing. Music producing or being a DJ. What kind of money DJ is making? Or become a hairdresser, become a barber. Go down on the corner and create a skills center. Down here we training you how to be engineers, basic engineering. Because we need people to be able to operate tool and die machinery in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
You're saying you want to develop your industrial base, you need skilled technicians to be able to hire. All of those things. You have so many young men in Nelson Street, and you see the people in Nelson Street who cannot afford to go to school. It is in our best interest to create these facilities, put them in the school and put them on an allowance. I giving you a stipend. If at the end of the term you're failing, you're going to lose half your stipend. So that you have an incentive to come and learn.
To learn.
So that by the time 18 and 19 and 20 catch you, and you're outside there, for you to end up with a gun in your hand because somebody wants you to rob Pennywise, man, is because you choose to have no choice.
You're naturally evil. Yeah.
I remember the days when we had the zonal basketball competition that NGC sponsored. NGC was the sponsor
That was
and so
not
forth.
like sport program.
No. Way before, like on the Pato's time, like when I was in government time and so I can remember my time and so forth. That crime was something that you're too tired to go and rob anybody because whole night you're playing basketball. There's competition throughout every community and so forth. And suddenly somebody pulled the plug and NGC stopped the sponsoring. But to get back to what you were saying there, to a large extent, simple move by government to give tax incentives, for projects U.S. company doing communities, banks, all of boasting $500 and something million. But here what's going on? You do projects in communities, you get some tax breaks and so forth. If you do projects in communities, start encouraging the government saying, I don't have the money. Well, a corporate citizen jump inside and
if you go back to Laventil. Laventil was Trinidad's capital beating heart. We built Trinidad and Tobago in Laventil. Yes or no?
Correct.
All of those empty buildings that day, and I show you where Emily last start. I can show you where Long Life Mufflers and Kmos Mufflers was.
Oh, yes, you're correct.
But I'm telling you, the beating heart of Trinidad, all these fellas, Farah and them, Thomas and Sons, all of them was in Laventil. That was where the commercial sector tried. We did not realize that if you, instead of spending the money on security guard and barbed wire, you spend 25 cents a square foot giving back to the community.
Yeah.
I want to see these youths around this building because they.
I will give you a live example. I'm glad I like that sweet topic. I remember I met some guys in Arima once, many years ago. So I don't want to say how much years because people know how old I am.
That was in the 40s, right?
You see?
When Adam was a boy.
And them guys say, Father, only help you with nothing, Father, and they were considered bad boys in the community and so forth. Father, and da. But I like people.
Yeah.
To be in government, the one fundamental thing about being in government, you gotta like people.
You gotta like people.
If you don't like people,
If
stay
you
out
don't have a heart for
people business.
don't come in government, you're right.
Yeah, I say, so what you could do, Father, would be give you nothing, da. I say, you could do contract, or you could do. Yeah, we could do some brick thing and. Say, but you all tender for contract, or we know how to do that. I sit with those guys, and one of these days I'll bring them here. When home by them, they buy chicken and all kind of thing, and a little board they had, I show them how to do bill of quantities, how to do estimate, how to understand a scope of work, how to understand for the contract and so forth. I sit down with them,
But
my
that's what-
time,
but that's
because
what-
you know why? They just wanted
But that's what
somebody
skill
to
centers
help
do.
them.
That is what we're
And
talking
not
about.
turn, and, but everybody was saying them as bad boys and they turned their back. So
Imagine if you-
I said, no,
They'll
what-
continue to be
how
bad
how-
boys.
they'll continue to be bad boys.
We just
No, those same guys. After I did all of that, I arranged some contracts in Arima and so forth for the tender. I say, practice the art now. Because the worst thing to do is to tool me with the knowledge and then walk away and leave me.
And just leave me hanging, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I put about 20 contracts in Arima, footpath, this and that, the tender for it, the wind and so forth. Those, in that year, those were the first set of guys to finish their contract on time, within budget,
Boss
and so
man.
forth. And what, let me tell you something. Let me show you the commitment of these guys. We had to send out our engineers in the night because them fellas had car light and flambeau while they mixing concrete, you know.
he
Them just wanted a break. What's up, of? These guys building houses for AGC right now. Same fellas.
Stephan brought that up.
Same
Stephan,
fellas,
before you
same
got-
fellas building houses for
Before you got
contractors now.
here, before you got here, Stephan brought up Maslow's hierarchy of needs. A human being has developmental needs, and if you give them the ability to walk up the stairs to get level up, they will go with it.
Phillip, I've given people a contract for $150,000. The glow and the light that them people
course.
feel like
Hope, that
they
is
win
hope.
$1 million.
That is
It's
hope.
just hope.
That is hope.
But of course,
This
look
why-
at-
so I
look
tell
at-
Steve,
look
I
at
said, Steve,
Carnage, look at Kokorit.
Yeah.
Look at Carnage and Kokorit. Between Carnage and Kokorit, they must be have about 30,000 young men and women who should have naturally have gravitated towards the sea. Who should have been in fishing, we should have had downstream fishing, we should have had mechanics, marine
Yeah.
mechanics,
Yes.
engineering,
Yes.
boat building, sail rigging,
Yeah.
because Yacht Club was developing into one of the sailing hubs for the region before
Yeah.
we mashed that up. But if you was,
Yeah.
we mashed that up in Trinidad. Listen, we could have been making
You're kidding.
$50 billion a year just in marine. When you look at some of the countries in the world that take marine seriously, they will take, like where we have between Movietong and Peaks, and create a marina going straight out to the horizon. And it's just boats after boats after boats. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? Once you have those boats here, machining for propellers and engines, you know the kind of business
Yeah,
you are
agreed,
going to
agreed,
create.
agreed, yeah.
Your job, those little boys that you landlock when you build Peaks. So everybody from Peaks to West Shore reclaim the whole waterfront. And all of these people who used to have access to the sea end up with a little chucky fishing village on the end of the foreshore, between the foreshore and Peaks, and a walkway by Bayside Towers to get to the water. And I'm saying to you,
Wow.
fishing, just our people fishing would bring down the price of our food. You know what happening? We have fishing industries in Shagaramas that working with the Venezuelans and the Koreans that emptying our waters and exporting it. We ain't getting any money. There is so much. All you have to do, and all of you all know this, go into the poor communities and stand up and say, this mass of human resource, how do I tap into it to the benefit of them and this country as
And that's
well?
real easy to do. Once you take it in small doses and so forth, I did it, so I know he on the right track. Once you say that, and this I tell Matterson, I say, Matterson, to me, Trinidad is the easiest country to run. Trinidad not hard to run, you know, it's not difficult to run, you know.
Just make it look
You
difficult.
make it look difficult, easy to run.
For specific reasons, but
I
go
spent
ahead.
9 years there and I know it's real easy to run. After
Yeah.
9 years there, it's real easy to run.
Government is easy. Politics in Trinidad is what is hard.
What I want to do, I just want to shift slightly because we want to get to the budget, right? We talk about crime from the aspect of the youth men, and then we try to put on the robbery. It have our next conversation taking place about the security agency and the vehicle and the protective gear, the tools that they give these security guards to go there and conduct this business. Because lest we forget, they were in an ordinary vehicle, they didn't armor or anything like that. And I think it was Trini Rambles on social media, who just posts some real good content. He said you could imagine that in a country like Trinidad and Tobago with so much traffic. You have a vehicle that's not armored, transporting $3 million. That's insane. Especially when you have a crime rate where it is. And the level of assault rifles that are on the street right now illegally. It's insane that we have so many security agencies and like they have no armored vehicles, so these people to be transported.
That is accidental? Because I don't want to make any assumptions.
Accidental with what?
If you are smart enough to know that in a country where if you hire Harry, Charlie, and Mary to go and move the money, chances are Harry, Charlie, and Mary tell the husband or the wife or the spouse, what are doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
Not maliciously. And I'm just saying that. But you don't know who hearing. Right. They might have malicious intent.
Well, people looking at the aspect of the security agency and what they provide for these employees. I mean, I saw somebody put out a notice. One of the security agencies put out a notice for a starting rate of $18 an hour for a security guard. It had 4 positions that were open. One started $18 an hour, and some was $25 an hour, things of that nature, right? We had, it's Derek Richardson?
Yeah.
We had him on here already, right? This was a nice discussion
him.
from that aspect,
Yeah.
because I would imagine that you have security officers. If I'm a security officer, partner, I put my life at risk every day just like a police officer.
Every day.
But if I die in the line of duty, my family ain't getting $1 million like how the police get, right? That the state, well, supposed to give to the family if the officer dies in line of duty. So you know, where's the compensation package? Where's the what goes on there? What happened within that entire sector?
The whole security industry in Trinidad.
Fortunately for us today, we have
Well,
a man on the program who came by the way.
Hey,
And he can answer them questions.
You can answer that?
Who said I can answer that?
No, because to me, like, people is just open a security company. Like, you could just, if you wanna open a security company in the morning, you could just go and open a security company in the morning, and run it like you know, like a Vike business. Because it does seem like our security agencies, or the majority of them, our security, the companies that we have, up to international standard.
Well,
We're OSHA. Shouldn't
Can I just ask one question?
Shouldn't OSHA
I'm gonna
get involved with that?
I'm gonna leave this because I know Stephan is the experienced person on this panel for this. But where we were going just now, right? Imagine if the government took things like security guard, hairdresser,
Right.
auto mechanic seriously to the point where for you to be an auto mechanic, you have to have a sign up in your store saying that you are qualified and licensed. Security firms as well. That there should be criteria in the industry as you're raising to say that this is not a fly-by-night. I rent 2 vans, hire 10 people from down on the corner who are no work and read security.
Send them to get precepted. Yeah.
You need to put things in place to protect your customers who have an anticipation that you know what you're doing, and to protect the workers. Because they are the front line of crime.
Understood, but here was the problem. We live in a country where everybody's wake up in the morning and say, well, normal day at the office, and you're not expecting anything to happen.
Well,
And we don't fix a problem until it happens.
well, let the experts. Or the
All right, we have the
experts
expert
talk.
here, so the spotlight on you now, Selvon.
Maybe you could
Explain.
You could answer them questions.
What going on there, man?
What's going on where?
In that
Well,
sector.
I know the private security bill speak to some level of regulation to some extent. I know the union had some concerns, as Richardson mentioned last time we were here.
Right.
But there is need for regulation, as the case may be. There is need to establish, based on the risk level in the industry that workers face, probably, I know Mattis talk about it, a minimum wage for security officers in the private security industry. And all from where I sit, I'm challenged sometimes in terms of coming to terms with the salaries that are paid, but it's predicated upon, to a large extent, of what rate companies are paid by their clients. Yeah?
Okay.
And that drives what the officer end up getting.
Or the ability of the
or the-
investment
yeah.
by the company to
So,
make money.
people tender for, Richardson talk about it, we talk about one the other day where a company tender $25 If you tender $25 for a contract, then we take out your overhead where you can pay the worker. You understand? So somebody had to come out and protect the worker.
Right.
Negotiation with the union don't really protect the worker because it come back down to I can't pay more than I'm receiving.
All right.
I'm company, I'm receiving $10, I can't pay $13. And I said here last time, we must establish what is a fair wage, what is what we call living wage for workers in the country.
Right.
And that way we had to benchmark it from, and so forth. And then we might look to pivot and say, what is a fair wage for somebody in the security industry who put in their life and limb at risk to protect property and so forth.
But what about the criteria for a security company and what they should be able to provide for the employee?
Well,
Especially when you're moving millions and dollars.
All of those things, all of those things are still predicated on the fact that we have laws and the laws are universal. Right? It's not different for the private security as it is for the store on Marvel Road or your office or anything like that. It's the same laws, right? So we have the OSHA Act as the OSHA, we have the IRA, we have the Minimum Wage Act, we have all the acts that governs a worker and the working relationship. The thing is, the difference in the private sector, the private security, is that how contracts are negotiated and the demand and supply and what the going rate, what companies are willing to pay or not willing to pay for security officers. And that's one of the things I would probably blame security firms collectively for. Because you can't negotiate, you can't jump in a contract to take a contract to secure X, Y, or Z for $25 and expect that you'll be able to pay your officers $26.
Exactly, yeah.
When you have to invest in vehicles, you know what's the price of an armored truck?
What's the price? Yeah. Give us
a couple million.
A couple million.
Yes. Right? So you had to invest in vehicles, you had to invest in your management to supervise, you had to invest in overtime. When you take a contract, paying you $24 an hour, and you're paying a guard $17 or $18 an hour, and that guard didn't come to work for whatever reason, you had to pay double time. And the man who was working, or you had to call out somebody for more money, right?
Plus you had to pay the man who stay home too.
Plus you had to pay the man who stay home.
Because you might take a casual leave.
So
you're losing on the work, you don't know your charge.
So now you're paying double what you're getting.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Those are the challenges.
Yeah.
Those are the challenges. And you know who are the biggest perpetrator of not paying on time or paying those kind of government.
Okay, but you are saying things here that we should have laws in place to protect our commercial sector, our economy, from that type of gouging and profiteering. Somebody could decide, okay, Trinidad's security business worth $2 billion a year. I come in as a predator. I go pump money until I close you down, till I close you down, till I close you down. Because
there's a possibility.
I know your business. I know your business. I know the business, and I know that you have to pay the same work because you still have the $25 an hour cost that you just spoke about.
Yes.
You just built a platform for what it costs per hour to run a basic security firm is, right? So you break that down to $25 an hour. Cool. I come in at 20.
Right.
Yep.
I come in the market at 20. So for you to compete with me, you have to match me, even though it's costing you $25 an hour. You have to charge and get $20 an hour. So you'll be operating at a net $5 an hour loss. My loss, I am using my loss as a cost of doing business. It shouldn't be allowed.
Agreed.
In the retail sector, that's called dumping.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be allowed. I shouldn't be allowed to come and destroy your business because I might have drug money or corruption money or even investors that are willing to be a predator on the market.
Or you're laundering, you're using business to launder.
But I don't want us to go down the road and probably attacking each other in terms of security companies. What I want to say also.
I'm not saying that though. When you say that it is possible,
yes,
you say that it is possible that people are underselling.
Yes, it is.
Where they getting the money from to pay the difference? Richardson talk it, and I leave it. Because you already finished the sentence. You come back to it today, you give me the next bite of that cherry.
Right. So-
where that money coming from? The $5 difference.
Right.
Did you have to pay that out for
Clearly, they are the ones with the bigger contracts from government, more money in other sectors, and they have the money to fund out people that. But I want to say something, just to answer another part of the question that you would have asked in relation to the armored vehicles and that kind of thing. Because there's another component to that. You know, I was listening to Gavin Hira on Morning Edition yesterday. And he was saying something, and while I tend to agree with him, there are other things that what I was just saying factors in the cost to run the business. But there are other things that we have to look at, and that is to get an armored vehicle in Trinidad and Tobago, a security company, you know, it is a process. Special branch had approved that. And sometimes you're waiting for that for a whole year. But a simple thing like bulletproof vests, to import that, sometimes it takes more than a year. I'll someone here ask him.
Well, Gary Griffith told us last week,
right?
At his launch, or 2 weeks ago, whenever he launched the NTA in Lego Martin, he said, special branch does not answer to the Commissioner of Police. Gary Griffith said, he went out of his way to say that as a former Minister of National Security and a former Commissioner, I want to tell you that special branch answers to the Prime Minister according to the Constitution. That is what Gary Griffith, Welch, if you could find it, you could play that clip. It's about a minute long. Because that's what I took. You will realize that me and Gary crossing swords right now. I took him to task on that. Because I remember Gary Griffith, when he was Minister of National Security, gave Keith Rowley a security detail special branch. He did that. So he as Minister of National Security, not the Commissioner of Police, not the Prime Minister. So it is
Yeah,
one.
but let me don't muggy the water.
Brother, I'm not mugging the water. I come back to you just said. You just said special branch has to approve it, and now the system is not a regulated system. As if you as the Prime Minister partner, you could get it because special branch answerable to the Prime Minister in a country where you, and we're talking this, we're talking the things on this show. On this show, when you're talking about predatory business practices, if a man has the Prime Minister's ear, if he sits with him in Trotters and Adams, and his breakfast and lunch, and he could get access to things that his competitor, who is not so benefited, then we are looking at a country, Trinidad and Tobago, we are looking at a country where our businessmen and women are at risk, the very government that runs the country.
That could be a fact, right? But Stephan, you want to say more on?
No, I mean you all encapsulated beautiful.
Because even the cost to bring down
what
that is above level 3 is prohibitive.
No, what
$10,000 for a bulletproof vest above level 3.
Yeah.
And where you getting the foreign exchange from?
Right? So those things are.
Where you getting the foreign exchange from?
If we had to regulate, from a number of areas in terms of regulation and so forth. You see,
we can't regulate PH.
Isn't there an act in Parliament about how we operate business in this country? The Monopolies Act and something like that. There is something that languishing about 20 years now that should have just been passed in the Parliament and sent to the President. We are not protecting small businessmen and women. We are allowing predators, commercial predators, to dominate and destroy the market.
Well, the agriculture sector is one example of that.
We passed that point there.
The agriculture sector is one example of that.
Well, I waiting to hear the budget Monday.
Is one example of that.
Let me get into the budget talk.
And I think that's your perfect segue.
I really want to hear what the budget will be Monday, because the budget,
we just
in
on
my
point,
opinion, should focus on, apart from what we talk about social development,
we should put that $4 billion in importation.
Us feeding our country, feeding ourselves, and agriculture should be the biggest thing.
What do you think should be the overarching tone of the budget? Because I'll say this out here, so I won't trap you to come back around to me. I would say that to me, it should be accountability. What do you think it should be?
Well, the overarching concern to me the budget is stabilizing this
Stabilizing, yeah.
this country.
Stabilizing the economy.
Yeah, stabilizing this country.
self-sufficiency.
Self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah, I with him on that, stabilizing the country.
Okay, but how do you stabilize?
Because all right, from what you were saying, right? You see, right now, the reason why a lot of the things upside down in the country and we're seeing the levels of crime that we're seeing is because people simply can't afford everything in the grocery too
People can't
expensive.
afford, they can't afford to feed
People
themselves.
not eating, people not feeding themselves. So we had to shift the focus, and that is why everybody should be out protesting this HEC project on the St. Augustine nurseries. That is some of the best soil.
And that stop.
That's the best agriculture. Nobody but Kublal Singh and they are challenging in court, but they pop back up on HEC calling for us for the court to make a decision quickly. But I'm saying you cannot tell me that you're serious about agriculture, food production, food security, and you want to take the best agricultural soil in the country, or if not the Caribbean,
let me say why,
and build house there.
Let me say why I tell you
Yeah.
accountability should be the tool. Because you say you want to get into agriculture, feed the nation. But for the, I am always going to return to the small businessman who's supposed to be the actual foundation of the economy. Every time you let all of your business get concentrated in the fewer and fewer hands, you put the economy
lose.
at risk
You lose.
to control.
Yep.
These people now control your pricing. They control what could happen in your economy.
Yes,
exactly.
yeah.
You need a free market competing to,
Yeah.
to give you what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Guardian Media had sent me a message earlier asking me about some questions about it, and I said, if you're talking food self-sufficiency, you ought to talk land, water, and predial larceny.
Yeah.
You ought to talk those three things.
Yep.
We have chemicals that we're using in Trinidad to spray
There's
off food
illegal
that
outside.
banned outside are trying to be killing our people with cancer.
yep.
We're not having those conversations because our ministers, plural, are hired from a pool of people that do not understand that the job that they do in our Minister of Agriculture doesn't, and this one, no. The last one, Clarence, was on Caroni board. But he was on Caroni board. He's supposed to know it. He's a professor. And he was supposed to understand these things. Predial larceny to the average farmer who put out the 9 months of hard work for the crop and wake up one morning that he know he harvesting tomorrow and today the bandits come and harvest him. I know a fellow Derek Lawrenson used to mine goats. And he went out with his family one night and they come and thief all his goats.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember he put a video on that.
And he didn't have the support. There should be, in Trinidad and Tobago, there should be the veterinarian society should free for farmers implant these things where I could come and check,
Yeah.
right? Because if you sell me a goat that or an animal that belongs to somebody else, you gotta be able to prove why.
Yeah.
Predial larceny, and I keep suggesting this. Everything above a certain amount, like how we do with alcohol. If police see you outside with a case of scotch in your car, a case,
Yeah, you could get charged.
but before they charge you, they're going to ask you for some documentation to explain why you have a case of scotch in your car. And if you have a bill from Massey Stores, yeah, we have in a week, fine, no problem. You have but you have no documentation, but you have a case of scotch in your car. We have a problem. And if you have
A truckload of goods. But you have no
crocus
farm. But you have no farm.
a crocus bag of puttigal in the back seat of your van.
tree.
Where that from? It's from my tree. Show me a farmer's badge.
Yeah.
Show me a farmer's badge.
Simple.
Right, go your way.
Yeah.
Go your way, because farmers are thieving from farmers.
Now, but you can get a crocus bag, a grapefruit or whatever.
But it could be somebody
from your own tree. Oh man, you ain't have no farmer's branch.
You could prove that. You could
Once you
prove
could prove
that.
it,
You could
no
prove that.
problem, prove
Officer, come on by me. I
Yeah.
will show you. Look on the phone. You know you're proud.
Yeah,
You
of
proud,
course.
boss. You know what's grapefruit I growing? Look my pictures. You understand what I'm saying? No, but I'm telling you, the predial larceny thing is a very serious thing.
It is.
Because small farmers could feed this nation 1 acre at a time.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Small farmers could feed this nation. We're looking for...
Now, with all due respect, I know because I have a friend whose son got onto the project, and know there is a program recently launched. I think it is by
Youth development.
Youth Development
Ministry, yeah.
right? Where they are training young people. I think it's 25 and under
Yeah.
to own and operate farms.
Okay.
And they, at the end of that program, I think they are getting an acre of land or 2 acres of land and
And
finance,
that's brilliant,
and
right?
financing.
How brilliant that sound to
And
you?
financing.
But they have 30,000 registered farmers in
Already,
this country already. Why
And
you
we are
don't deal with them
taken care
first?
of. And we are fixing
Why
them.
politicize? Why use
Does he plan that first?
Those
I mean,
farmers,
straightforward.
Just now,
build
just
house
now.
on the land and
No.
No.
You can't be making a
legitimate-
statement like that. I want to tell you why.
Listen.
They have 30,000 registered farmers in this country that want to be growing food. That's
Yep.
what they
Yep.
are. They are
Yep.
farmers.
Yep.
And they want to be growing food. Why you didn't start with them? Why must you have a political party card? Why must it come from Heliconia Foundation? And I'm saying those things because Trinidadians should be upset at the price of food that politics have it so. You think the people who are importing the $5 billion worth of food every year want that little $25 an hour thing to work?
But some of
They
the-
know that it's a stunt.
It's some of the things that we importing things that we grow in here.
yeah.
We importing bananas.
And those things
We
should be
importing avocados.
prohibitive.
we imported those
I mean,
things for?
I agree with Philip.
Yeah.
To a large extent, I know some farmers really and truly who struggling and
Yeah, I know a
struggling
lot.
through the pre-year larceny challenge and
I
so
have families who are
forth. But
farmers.
apart from that,
When he say that there are farmers who build housing project on their farm, and if this was a real country, because I remember when Louis Leasing went and showed him his ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend property on Coco in Cascade. Remember that on the corner by the river? They wasn't supposed to build there, and I remember that was there for a while. But Louis as mayor, and I'm joking about the ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend thing. But as mayor, he went and threw it down. And if you have farmland and you have property right now in the back of El Socorro, warehouse by the mile, warehouse by the mile on what should be growing food.
Agricultural land.
And I am not saying you shouldn't be in the warehouse business. I'm just saying don't put it where the food's supposed to be growing.
Supposed to be growing, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
I agree.
So I mean, I think they need to focus on one food security, food
Yeah,
production.
food security, most
you see,
important.
And job
all those,
creation,
all
they
those
have
youths
to-
and they with this program, are to put them to work with farmers that existed
That already
already
exists.
and take that money and put into
As
them
apprentice.
and help build the
Stephan,
farmers and them.
apprentice program.
Because
Or make them-
let me
make
tell
them
you,
partners in the whole
yes,
thing.
the best
You don't need the government to get involved in that. What he said is a fact. That's how it worked for a billion years. For all of the time that man is alive, children, people learn to become farmers
But you
working
work with farmer, that's the best way to learn.
Yeah.
Stephan, we have between Caroni, Clico, and Petrotrin, somewhere between 70 and 90,000 acres of farmland, fertile farmland that is being subsumed by friends, financiers, and family of politicians and used for other things other than growing food. We have 30,000 frustrated farmers. You're trying to tell me that we couldn't take 30,000 acres and pair it with our 30,000 farmers and tell you, if you growing pomsite, you're growing pimento, you're growing pawpaw, you're growing pumpkin, you're growing bygone, and I know that on an acre, I'm supposed to get over the next 9 months, you're supposed to give me 500 pounds. You give me 250 pounds, you don't have to pay for the farm. Next year again, you're going at it, it will always be state land, but you could use it and farm it every single year. And if you cross from 250 and you reach 350 coming closer to the 500, I want to give you a next acre to work. Because you're working the land. And what we want is food.
Yeah.
We want the price of food down.
Yeah.
Breadfruit in Trinidad is supposed to be $5 for a breadfruit.
Breadfruit is about $30.
$30.
A pound of tomatoes in the market started
I
with
saw some-
$20.
Mr.
No,
Avocado.
more than that.
Listen,
A pound of tomatoes.
listen,
I was shocked.
Our diet in this country, with the exception of things like English potato and wheat, we could provide this country with food, carrots, melons. Trinidadians like Trinidadian food.
Yeah.
We like the food that grow here. We like blue food. They rel condition us with this English potato and they condition us with the wheat. So that go continue to import for a while as we shift. But as people realize, wait now, I saving money buying breadfruit flour because if you bring the price of breadfruit down, people will process breadfruit flour. Cassava flour, we'll talk
How long
about
does
that.
that breadfruit tree take to grow?
I think it will be here in 5 days.
I understand we import eggs too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I tell you, we
How
import
mad
things
can
and we
we
have
be?
variety.
How mad
We
can we
don't
All
be?
the eggs and price, man.
We eat so much
Like,
meat.
40
We eat
grand.
so much meat in this country. It is causing us to have heart and health conditions. We eat too much meat, you know. In Trinidad.
Yeah.
Very few countries in the world have meat, a tree meat, And I didn't realize how easy it is to shift to a more vegetarian leaning diet if you stop eating as much meat. We get accustomed to the flavor, the gravy and all that kind of back and that. But our foods, like oil long and thing, oil long don't need meat.
No.
You put a little salt meat in it for flavor.
Yeah.
But oil
Brilliant, you're
and
correct.
pigtail.
You're correct.
We don't buy a bucket of pigtail per pot of food. If you eat it an oil long ago, you get one little piece of pigtail,
Yeah,
chew that slow.
yeah.
You shine that out, right? I like
it.
No, but I'm right,
Yeah,
right?
correct, yeah.
Oxtail, we eat
Correct.
oxtail. Then you take all the meat you get off from the 2-3 pieces of oxtail you get. It can't even fill your hands.
Yeah, true.
That's how that's
But taste it.
It's flavor.
but it flavor the pot. A breadfruit tree, they say a breadfruit tree will feed a family of 4 for 75 years. One breadfruit tree.
I cut down mine.
I understand that.
I cut down mine.
That,
I had to cut it down.
That's sweet leaves.
I had to cut it down. I had to, they were just complaining. Yeah, 2 trees I had to cut down in the last 5 years. Breadfruit tree, it was damaging the roof because the breadfruit keep falling on the roof. And the mango tree.
I would say this is a joke. There are sprung in your area.
And yeah,
No, because
Put a
sprung
free
in
there.
we had a fella, let me tell you something. We had a fella named Charles Payne. 1 foot. And up on that breadfruit tree.
I can understand.
1 foot, you know. And he up on the top of the breadfruit tree, picking breadfruit and selling it. You know.
When we
What?
were
No, but he dead. he has passed away. He has passed away. He did not fall off the tree. That's a big that clay. He didn't fall.
Brother, when
he
we was
died
in
of natural
we
causes.
stopped by a breadfruit tree that was growing breadfruit that you had to bend down to pick. So it's not that you had to climb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lincoln Myers had done a whole crop of dwarf breadfruit in Trinidad. I don't know what happened to that. When he was Minister of Agriculture. Because he was the one who was trying to introduce breadfruit. But you know, they started getting people this talk that breadfruit is slave food because it was for the slaves.
Fruit. Well, we had made this citrus
nice
in
roast
Trinidad.
breadfruit, yes.
Karen, you had a whole citrus.
Yeah, roast breadfruit.
Yeah, nice roast breadfruit.
No, but you see, what the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Agriculture, where they should be working together, is breadfruit is the only white starch next to wheat, next to English potato, next to rice. Breadfruit is the only one that is low glycemic, so it doesn't spike your sugar. It doesn't contribute to diabetes. We have high diabetes in this country.
Yes.
Yeah.
Breadfruit as a meal. And I tell people, when you taste curry breadfruit for the first time, you
Yes,
stop
I
eating
know.
English
Somebody
potato.
curry breadfruit?
Brother,
I
you
do it
taste
fry, I do it
curry
boil.
breadfruit and you'll see.
I never
I do it
breadfruit,
bake.
brother, man.
I do it bake curry.
But you missing half your life. Curry breadfruit, brother.
But where they go curry next?
I eat curry boiled egg already.
That's all.
I eat curry boiled egg already. So I'm telling you, I don't curry anything myself. Curry turkey. Not turkey. We're talking
curry
food.
is really good, eh?
Turkey in Trinidad, if we're rearing turkeys, we're rearing chicken. Turkey have more protein per pound on the bone than a chicken.
Turkey is very
Yeah.
healthy, extremely healthy, yes, of course.
So we should be growing, we should be rearing turkey because it's not just Thanksgiving
But
time
again-
there's eat turkey.
but here-
What about turkey breast is a big market now, right? Turkey is a market.
The fact that the farmers don't get the support they need, that dumping, because we look at price now, where we could bring it in further, where we could produce it here, but we're not saying we're not giving the man here incentive, you know. If he's incentivized to a large extent, he could compete to make local agriculture a sustainable and economical
And
thing,
that's
you
where
know.
Yeah,
a proper
exactly.
central market agency comes in.
But
because a central market
No,
agency
government
will,
policy bigger than central markets.
No.
Government
I just
policy
saying,
could solve that problem.
no, but I'm saying act through a central marketing agency.
yeah.
And if you take the Central Statistical Office should be able to give us this information that Trinidadians eat 500 pounds of potato, 350 pounds
Yeah,
of bread,
yeah.
whatever. And you get that total.
So we know how to plan the agriculture.
We know exactly.
We know how to
So
plan.
no glut.
It's easy.
No glut, the price
Exactly,
stable.
exactly.
The price stable. So you know that Trinidadians eating 15,000 pounds of carrots a year.
So
You
farmers,
grow-
we know how to zone you.
Your job is carrot. Your job is
Yeah.
carrot. You don't grow no carrot at all.
Yeah.
Because we're making sure that we're coming
Brilliant.
out with 15,000 pounds of carrot and the price stable.
Good.
Plantain stable. You understand?
Yeah.
That is where government. We said it earlier.
Yes.
The other thing-
Government easy, you know, it's politics.
Politics. The other thing I want to find out, what is the difference between a rough skin lemon that you just get in True Value and one that you just get by the fruit man or the vegetarian, the vegetable man on the side of the road?
Same lemon.
It's the same lemon, I buy a rough skin lemon. Today's what? Tuesday? Monday. I buy a rough skin lemon for $3.
Nah, you're $5 in the market.
No, I get for $3. I get for $3. I go to buy True Value and I'm making some groceries. You know what's a rough skin lemon in True Value? $10 and change. Why?
Because you're shopping in air conditioned comfort.
I didn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it. Pumpkin.
And you know what you're telling me? You know what you're telling me? I have no choice. Because I don't have the time.
But no,
I'm going in
yeah,
one
but-
of them stores
yeah,
buying it,
but
but
this
you're
is the
right.
thing.
It shouldn't be that
But
price.
this is the thing. The True Values and the Massey's and right? They order in such quantity that they have the ability to charge cheaper. They're supposed to be cheaper.
And they're not even buying
But-
it at
yeah.
Central
but-
Bank
but-
price.
Such a good point.
But
They're not even buying it at
They
Central
go
Bank
it
price.
twice.
But
Yeah.
they're coaching it twice because what is it? What scale they're using?
Yeah.
To
What the
remember the
market-
Melanjon? Remember the Melanjon? Right. So my thing is, what scale they're using?
This is the scale they're using. What people would pay.
Yeah, simple.
If I drop it at $40 and I know it's supposed to be $4, but I drop it for $40 and I watch.
We are
And then
all
people buying it at 40.
I keep it
Yeah,
at 40.
I'm making $36 more.
And here,
Yeah, but you see that's our problem.
But you know why? We come back to the central marketing agency.
Right.
We don't have enough nice markets to go to. When you go to the Barcelona market, nicer than West Mall.
Go put down in Chagarama. Sit have a place down in Chagarama so you can go and pick.
You pick and all that kind of
Is you pick and thing?
Yeah.
I haven't been down there in a while, but
But what I'm saying to you
I know
is,
they have these little places.
farmers messaging me right now, they're under pressure in central market, they're getting thrown out, they're getting blocked, they're getting people doing them all kind of
What is
wickedness.
going on?
The market by Inchaguanas, the CEO and his girlfriend parking their car where the market vendors has been. We do not treat our farmers
With respect.
We do not. And they are the most important people in any society. Because without your farmer, the doctor can't go to work.
Exactly.
And if you build proper markets, and a proper market is like a mall.
So-
a proper market should have, when you go and you watch some of these places in Greece, you go by the fishman here, and you buy 3 nice fish that's still flopping around. And you walk down to the end of the market. You bounce up the person who cooking and preparing that fish for you in the market, you know. And we need to design and build facilities all through town.
So let me ask you
Port of
something.
Spain, Charlotte Street, I give it back to you now.
Right.
Charlotte Street, we have all those empty buildings. You're trying to tell me that we can build a massive market there so that all those vendors who are trying to sell on the street, and when it's full, add an next section to it.
Yeah, cater for
and
them,
then
cater
that
for
full,
them, yeah.
add an next
Add
section.
on.
Because what you would create is you create
It's positive
a whole
economic activity.
entrepreneurial
Positive economic
culture.
activity,
All right.
yes. yes
So,
yes.
so let me ask you
Yeah.
this. This is the point I'm coming to. We're talking about the budget and we started with agriculture and food production and food security, right? And all the benefits that comes to that. So, historically, with the exception of the 5 years under the partnership, because as I recall, under the partnership, agriculture got over $1 billion in the budget. With the exception of that 5 years, I think they got under $1 billion or $1 billion or less.
Below.
Right, or below.
After I was below.
Below.
Yeah.
So what would you all say is the allocation that, I mean, if you all had the opportunity, what would you allocate
the
towards that
first thing,
sector?
I would allocate on the basis of a policy and a plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? So,
can't just be a number.
So just
All right.
can't just be a number.
But what would be the just an idea.
Here what my plan would be. So my overall strategic vision will be to produce almost to reduce our
Feed the nation.
national debt and
Call it
feed the
feed the
nation,
nation.
right?
Right. Bring down the food import.
And I would want to think about what mechanisms I could use to be able to do that. So for instance, we are a 2-season country, and for the most part, they are good seasons for planting.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So I would probably look at, in addition to what the lands that I have, I would probably look at other spaces that may not be as ardent as those food lands. And I'd put down a huge amount of greenhouse so I can have controlled farming Because at the end of the day, what I want is to be able to feed my nation in a very short space of time.
I like
Right.
that, but I want to ask you a question. Because
So-
you're predicating on correct, except the postulation that you would need to create greenhouses. I would say, until you've exhausted all the things that want to grow wild, until you've exhausted all of that, because when he asked for a number, I think the number is it already exists in equity, like the land value, it exists there. You need to say, okay, I will build 50,000 square feet, 100,000 square feet markets, northeast, central, south Tobago. Massive markets, and I'm making the space available to the vendors. I will go to all the communities because the farmers exist in communities and meet with them. What do you need? Boss, we need water. What does it cost to provide them with a central pond and irrigation to
Government will be the
everybody?
facilitator.
They need a million, you need a million,
Yeah.
you need a million. That's 10 million for water.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you need? Boss, the price of chemicals too high.
Yeah.
If you could subsidize that, we spend 50 million for the year. If you bring it down by half, $25 million.
Yeah.
So when you get in a budget, and this is what I don't understand about our budget, they say $1 billion for farming, boom. But he just asked you, what's that billion for?
Right.
Most
And
of
that's
the time-
why I
most-
said when you
most of
came,
the time it's for recurrent expenditure.
Most
Most
money,
of the time.
and this is the thing,
But-
most
most of the time.
allocations
you
in the
just,
budget.
when you said,
Yeah.
and I said the tone should be accountability. I think our budget shouldn't take 2 and 3 hours to read. Our budget should take 4 days. Our budget should be detailed.
It should start with where the money from the last budget went.
If I give you
Or what was the expenditure over the last
if I give you
365
WhatsApp
days?
that I just gave to Guardian,
And-
it starts that way.
Right.
That before you say what you spending this year,
You had to account for
what
last,
you spent
last. I've
year.
been saying that for years upon years upon
But
years.
imagine if you
Run it
say
like a business, Matty.
you say it goes to recurring expenditure.
Recurrent expenditure.
Right.
Except
But give me that breakdown. Tell me, because I ask.
Yeah.
If we spend $5 billion a year on education, and we have 200,000 children, so let's say we have 5,000 teachers, and our salaries is $1 billion. What's the other $4 billion?
With the other 4 billion for.
Yep.
What's that spending on?
How much went in the
If the
projects? How much went
schools,
in
if you're not
the
building all new
renovations of
schools,
schools?
if you're not renovating, all of that.
Yeah.
So you would be able to get, we budgeted $5 billion last year. We all know $1 billion goes to teachers. Of the remaining $4 billion, because
Where
the
that
schools was
going?
closed for 2 years, we
Where
get
that
to hold back $8 billion that we didn't spend. So we're going to use that in the
Correct. That's how it's supposed to
That's a budget.
be. And just on the point
Shouldn't the
of
41 be asking that? way?
just on the point of just come back to the point of the agriculture. I know I asked you about the policy and the plan and you started to explain that, right? One of the things I didn't hear us mention in the discussion just now with agriculture and food production, we talk about the import bill, but how we improve in the export market.
well, the export market.
The potential there to
to
earn.
me, that is
And all in touch on
that will include that will heavily include our foreign policy and our
But our ability to produce.
and our ability
What the
to
market
produce.
wants.
Is
Pepper
that-
mash is a growing industry. $2,500 a barrel of pepper mash, $110 a barrel of oil. Do the maths.
Right.
Get in the pepper mash business.
Yep.
What kind of pepper they want? They want pimento pepper for people who can't take hot pepper in their mouth, and they want scorpion pepper and Congo pepper to make pepper spray. But they buy reduced as something called pepper mash. There's a market.
Yeah.
Popo, Christophine, Palm City.
Right.
They buy those to use to make all them things put in rock cake and sweet bread. Them
Right,
green thing,
right,
yellow
right,
thing,
right,
orange thing.
right.
That's Popo, Christophine, and Palm City, flavored. So we know that there's a market. So we're able to sell that.
Yeah.
Mexico has a $2 billion trade with America for their little hand avocado. Our butter pollock avocado is the best avocado in the world. We talk about our cocoa. Our pollock avocado is the best in the world. We can break off $1 billion US.
Yeah.
We want to ship $1 billion US.
Right.
We want to get into avocado. Jamaica shipping their long mango to America.
Yeah.
You talk about St. Augustine Nursery. I find out St. Augustine Nursery is them developed Julie mango. Julie mango is the best mango in the world.
Yeah,
Why are we not shipping Julie mango
Yeah.
to America?
That you just put on rose starch which one?
Well, I wouldn't say it's the best in the world because we have some real nice mangoes here too. But
For what? For what?
And when you start to talk about best
Oh,
mango,
so,
the man will tell you,
yeah, watch my
nothing can be that stand. I could tell you. Alright.
And I realize
That's an emotional topic.
I realize that one statement I should have predicated it.
Because we can have a dream and
No, it's the tree that you grew up under, and you know that.
Julie Mango is it for me. Julie Mango is it for me.
I realize you don't like Julie Mango because
No,
as I
you don't
reach my
like
age,
Julie Mango is it for
Julie
me,
Mango
but
give me
I'm
a to
telling
go
you.
with.
No, because you grew up under a starch mango tree. Man doesn't need grey or mango. I said, but is that a flavor? Is that a taste? And Julie Mango.
It's a nice
We
one.
grew up in with broke. You won't eat Julie Mango till you're sick, you know. Till you can't move.
But there was a mango called Boxer Spice, boy.
I waited to taste it.
I never-
I didn't hear about it.
I want them trees by me.
Well, wait,
I
no,
want Julian
no.
and a Boxer Spice.
You was running on a track, and while I like the track, I had done a little feasibility study on that many years ago and so forth. And our potential to export tilapia.
Tilapia, that's the next
farming
export
here and
market
so
we have
forth.
But
there.
the Chinese mash up that market.
Yeah,
The Chinese mash up. They had start
Taiwanese.
we end up with bamboo as a used car place in land that was set aside for tilapia farming.
Yes.
Wow.
So we have potential, we have real potential.
We know what we're supposed to be doing. You know.
Yes.
The fiber in a pomerac is 5 times the fiber in an apple. For men, especially men, your diet's supposed to be 50% fiber by the time you cross 50 because colon cancer is the #1 cancer for men. Every man will get prostate cancer. They say if you live beyond 80. But colon cancer, like how breast cancer kills women, colon cancer kills men. And you need plenty high fiber in your diet. Guava, pomerac. A guava, come on. The vitamin C content
Oh
of a
Lord,
guava.
yeah.
Come on.
But that's our next export market, you go for.
That's massive. We importing guava cheese. I seen guava cheese from Mexico. We
It has so many
A
things
simple
we
thing,
could, it has so much industries we could create there, man.
But
From
them
this-
things that we talking, I just want to say this. Pomerac, avocado, mango, guava, pomsite, those trees, once they grow, it look like
They grow.
It look like the park across there. You gotta talk
They
to
keep-
them, you gotta water them, you gotta fertilize them. That giving you fruits for
Year
the
after
next
year.
100 years.
And you do nothing to it.
Right.
Nothing to it. Yep.
Why aren't we doing that? Shagaramas alone. Shagaramas, if you break off Shagaramas off of Trinidad and make Shagaramas the food basket of Trinidad, because Diego Martin West is our wettest constituency. There is water in Shagaramas West. There is an aquifer underneath Shagaramas that the rest of the Caribbean test water quality by. Shagaramas. And if we made Shagaramas the food basket, not for high turnover crop that need plenty pesticide, but for things like guava and avocado and things, if you did that just in Shagaramas, you will not only feed the whole of Trinidad and Tobago, you'll export.
Alright.
So
Selva?
no, you're saying the right things because when you're talking, I'm going back to the studies I did.
He knows his facts. He knows something else.
Yes. So 100%, we have the potential to feed ourselves and export. A
If
simple
other
thing we were
people-
looking at. 2 things. When we were doing sugarcane in Trinidad, you know the bag of some of the sugarcane, the lignin fiber. These things we could make and export.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Lignin from the fibers, make and export.
Did not know that.
Bamboo. Bamboo for floor tiles, bamboo for ceiling tiles,
Simple
bamboo
thing.
for
Right
wall.
now, I'm researching something. The demand for cassava flour
Oh yeah.
in Europe. We can have enough cassava in
But that's it. If
Trinidad.
the whole of Trinidad
I know,
was
man,
growing
that's
pepper,
what-
You
that's
can't
what-
supply.
I know the people. I know they have a little company in Canopia does manufacture that cassava flour and thing.
So we have so much potential in Trinidad, guys,
Yeah.
really and truly. If we dump us that money in agriculture, you have no crime, you know. Many have time to commit
They
crime,
want
you know.
Because
Because the kind of money they'll
you're
be
saving
making.
money, your grocery bill.
Once your grocery bill go down,
Besides your grocery bill go down, it will suck all the idle labor out of the country
Out the-
because
yes.
farmers will start competing for workers
Yes.
and giving workers, boy, come and live on my land, give up the
Yes.
rent that you're paying, live
Yes.
by me, I feed you. We're going to have somebody, she cooking every day. So you go money, you see your family on the weekend. Trinidadians is
That's
live
what
and
large
go.
farms do in the US.
Exactly.
Trinidadians is even go away
So
for
much
that.
so that they import our labor, like Canada.
Canada, yeah, we have our
So
whole.
we cannot
Our
say,
culture.
so we can't say our people are interested in farming.
We know
Exactly.
Can't say that.
We'll jump on a plane and go Canada.
we will save. at least 5 billion US in foreign exchange.
Yeah.
We will generate entrepreneurs. We will generate jobs.
As a matter of fact, oil and gas wouldn't be our biggest earners.
It should have never
It should have
been.
never been from the
It should
start.
have never
Agriculture
been.
would
We
be
should have
easy.
said
It was the
that-
easy road out.
No, but you should have said that if I get in $30 billion every year in oil and gas, I'm sending that straight into the heritage as people I said.
Yeah,
Going
yeah.
straight.
Yeah.
I ain't touching
Yeah.
it. I want to run the country on the money I get it from shipping, marine industry,
Oh
agriculture.
God,
You
nah,
see-
but
you
were
see-
you
you
asking
see-
for too
you see how the
complicated?
whole
No,
thing
but tell
becomes...
Hold on. Were you asking for too complicated with the people that we have around currently? That's too much work for them.
But
They
I
see-
don't know.
don't want to do all that.
One question.
They don't want that kind of challenge.
You see on that one question you ask me, going and solve all the problem
Yeah.
with agriculture?
Agriculture.
Yeah,
Going and bring down crime. Going and feeding it, going and reduce it.
Feeding
The-
it.
the food bill.
Foreign exchange.
Food bill.
Food
Going and
bill.
reduce the price of things.
Brother, you
Everything.
you could empty
When-
the jail
Yeah.
into every single
When-
day. Them coming out and work whole day, empty the jail.
Yeah, because my thing is when you go to the grocery with $100 and you could go home with 5-6 bag of groceries where you know
Go to the market.
it gonna last year. No, I'm just saying.
No, I'm saying to you, go to the market.
Right.
$100.
Yeah.
Look at what this fella Trissa Hydro Farm do. He corner the market with this thing. He buying up all his neighbors' farms' produce.
Right.
For $100, he's deliver a garbage bag. Because I did videos and they went viral all over the world. People buying from him online to ship to their family. He's give you a garbage bag full of pak choy, kale, lettuce, tomato, mushroom, eggplant, and cucumber. When you get that in your house for your $100, you're sharing it up because you can't. It will
Yeah,
spoil.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is my point. My point is when your money could provide quantity, you're less likely to be stressed, to be frustrated,
Yeah.
and to be marching in the street for a salary increase above 4%.
Yeah.
Because that 4% would
your-
represent
your dollar
something.
is stronger.
Your dollar is stronger. So once your dollar is stronger,
You make your money make sense.
it you know,
Listen.
they know that, you know.
How much? How much?
They know that, you know.
How much
They know it.
How much CPEP is cost? A billion. A billion.
Yeah, like going down to that now.
No.
Yeah, but
I
we
don't
just
know.
do with CPEP.
Oh, I'm saying to you.
CPEP
I'm
supposed to be
saying-
a program that you get into and then you
Move on.
and then you
It's a
move
start.
on to something else. We don't
No,
elevate
boss
people
man,
out of that
boss man.
either.
What I'm saying is,
CPEP should be doing
If
something.
you do what Stephen
Producers.
Matteson say,
Yes.
let's talk about getting all the people who need a job into agriculture and agro-processing. You will not have to spend money on CPEP and URP.
You could partner
That's-
CPEP
I
with the
like-
farmers
I
in the
like- I
agriculture
like-
sector and
I
all.
like-
CPEP could
I-
play a
No,
role with
what I'm
that.
saying is, let the market run itself.
Yeah.
You could stop spending the CPEP and the URP money because you will not have unemployed. You will
Correct.
You will end up with?
Yeah.
You'll end up with important Grenadian labor. That's what you'll end up with.
How much you want to bet me the budget Monday?
No, but go ahead.
In terms of the amount of money, the allocation, crime, health,
Those-
education.
Yeah.
You think they're getting Fitzgerald and all
Right?
that money?
I'm telling you, that's what it be crime, health, education. The thing is, all of those things could be solved by the one thing we just talked about,
No, but-
agriculture.
Agriculture?
That's going to get the least.
Philip,
As
Philip,
usual,
just,
as
Philip,
usual.
Philip said something there, very instructive, and you're on the right track. And you're on the right track. I can't remember the year. I must go back to my notes that I did a program using European workers in agriculture. Very successful. So I had 25 workers from Lavantil doing agriculture in Carson Field.
Right.
The Joseph John program.
Joseph John. But we have a maxi pick them up, carry them down there and so forth. And you know the big vision in that, as I tell Patos at the time, was to make URP people self-sufficient.
And get them
so
on their own
wean
farm.
them out
And get them on their own.
on
That
their
is-
own foot. So they started producing the sweet pepper
yeah.
and
That-
all kind
that
of things.
was a
And you know,
successful program.
I didn't have to pay them after. By 25,
They were rent
doing
pigs.
a little farm.
They were rent pigs.
I-
They were-
Just more than we expected, you know, was supposed to be some
Because
sweet pepper, you
It's what
know.
you teach a
I
man.
boy from Lavantil, by the way, I follow him Joseph John.
Just now, but
He was doing-
just was nice about it. The people in we supported the program with the training. You think it's nice? So you know, so come down, show them how to do this, how to mix this chemical and so
Of
forth.
course.
Them had the farm running,
What's
and I
that
was
one?
telling that If we just multiply this in every
But
community,
You know how much of that?
you are nobody.
You know how much
said-
of that politics, you know?
I don't know.
But
I
the
left government.
politics
I
are
don't
destroying
know.
this
What
country.
When the PNM got back in office in 2015, the Marshal Joseph John.
But if you give,
but you're correct, man.
if you give North Coast, Branches, Maracas, if you give them back the sea, if you give Carenage and Cocorit back the sea, and we get back into fishing and agriculture, everybody food bill in this country cut down by down to about a quarter what you're paying now.
Of course.
If you were able, you have to give these people
Because-
support.
let
You have
me
to give them
tell you,
support.
yeah.
To the budget, our budget wouldn't be 60 million.
I know
That's
people that
what I
brace for a
was-
heart attack wrong Easter, you know.
I wanna
They
pull it
want to
out.
see how much fish selling at home, you know.
No,
They're bracing for a heart attack, you know. They say, oh God.
So Philip, we spending we
Like
spend on
fish all the
average
time.
$250 million a year in Europe and so forth.
But they say that
Yes, sir. What is it?
transfers and subsidies. They say subsidies is 80% of the budget. They say subsidies is 80% of the budget. If you've broken down the gas subsidy and take that away, all those other make work, OJT, URP, CPEP,
Not OJT. OJT is relevant and needed.
Listen.
If it is used in the way it should be
okay, but you have, because you have to qualify it and say that means that you don't know if it is.
used. Well, yeah.
So that if you are saying that he just call it an internship program,
Yeah.
what OJT want to be. But the farmers that need the interns, because let me tell you something, you hire these young people and you show them,
Yeah.
they go
Because-
in the market and see their 6 months of work is $120,000.
Yep.
But you gotta hire new farmers
Yep.
next year
Yep.
because he
Yep.
gone looking for a piece of land somewhere.
Because what I started doing too was taking, you see the farmers all in penal and all about the place and so forth. I said, here what's going on. To grow your farm, I get some workers from Europe to work on your farm and so forth. Yeah? And I started doing it. I started mushrooming, you know. And but I left government. It fell down. But you had to like people and be passionate about developing country to be in government. And I realized since I left, all them things fall apart and fall down, but the passion changed.
30 billion of our budget, give or take, is spent taken from Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
About $30 billion in our budget. That if you just pick 3 industries, you said pick 3 industries, pick fishing, pick marine, pick agriculture, because those are incomes. When you talk about where you're spending on education, where you're spending on health, those are outflows.
Yes.
Those are recurrent expenditures.
Yeah.
What you want is your inflows to outstrip your outflows, so you're in a net profit. At the end of the year, we're going to put in $5 billion in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, or $10 billion. Because that's what Norway did. People talking about Norway and the size of their stabilization, what they call it a sovereign fund.
Yeah.
Norway's sovereign fund, Norway get oil 40 years after us. Norway's sovereign fund impacts all stocks and shares traded on the planet.
And what they do is they invest everything
Everything.
and live off the interest, part of the interest.
Brother, your pension,
That's Norway.
as a Norwegian,
Yeah.
you are alive working, but you know that your $250,000 US pension done in the bank for you.
Yeah.
That waiting on you. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That's how you run a country. When I tell you just now that the government of Trinidad and Tobago is the easy part, it's the politics
Is the
that's
hard
killing
part,
us.
yeah.
Yeah.
You talk
Yeah.
this team here, you try
Yeah.
to tell me that this team here have all those bright ideas alone? You said it just now. All 41 of them in that parliament knows this.
Yeah.
They know it, and if they don't know it, they shouldn't be.
They shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be there.
Too much nepotism, too much
And
corruption.
your statement at the start of this show when you came is a very correct statement, and I'll be quoting you going forward. You shouldn't be in politics if you don't love
If
people.
you don't like people, you don't like people.
This is what politics is. Politics
Yeah.
is about the people.
People.
That park across the road with the breakdown fence and the gates locked and thing. If you had a mayor who loved people, there would be a bandstand, and tonight Orange Sky would be playing there, and after Orange Sky, Chef Shakti dancers
You are
come
no
in,
chances to
and they
know
have
when the block
lights.
can be idle because
they have-
That's something
happening.
going on.
Or roadblock.
That's
Yeah.
something
From
going on.
Laventille.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever we're saying is
Good.
all the parks in the night will be lit up.
Yep.
There will be entertainment, live
Yes.
entertainment from
Yep.
the community. You come and use the bandstand and come off after and sell people your CD or whatever.
Yep.
And around the park is a set of little people selling food for the people who are the poor. Come on.
Yeah.
Why are we
Stimulate the economy.
living in a culture imported from China, fattening ourselves with KFC? Trinidad and Tobago is a contradiction of the potential of this place.
Every community ground, every community center,
Yeah.
it's supposed to have some level of activity taking place at least on a weekend.
How much stadiums do you have?
That
Just
brings the
just-
entire community
Just
together.
how much stadiums do you have in Trinidad and Tobago?
6 at least.
We have stadiums, but I don't even know if we have I don't even know. I don't even know what we have. I see you do a video. You do a video just the other day by La Perouse Cemetery right up the road there. And the condition of the cemetery. Who is responsible to
But they're
maintain
getting
that?
the money. The money is spent. Where is it? You know where you're going with the thing. You're talking about the budget. Put $1 billion in football.
Yeah.
Put $1 billion in football. How you put $1 billion in football?
Football or sports?
Football. I tell you, put $1 billion in football and create Trinidad a real national league every Saturday, every Sunday
Them
after lunch.
things supposed to be
all in stadium.
piping hot.
Hot.
Piping hot.
Because we
Not just burning
we
current
have
the whole
somebody,
night, lighting up
And you just had to make the
paying
gate,
electric
and the
bill and
gate
cutting
price
grass.
had to be
What
affordable.
foolishness is that?
People to come here.
that's what giving you the
Yeah,
$1 billion.
grounds like rain.
Trinidad and Tobago have nice
But that's what
grounds.
but that's what giving you the $1 billion for. Giving you that $1 billion, we maintaining all the grounds. We making sure all the grounds have light. So that your children could come out and play, and you just have to come on the blackboard and book when you're 11. We have it between 2 and 3.
Simple.
You understand? So you get your sweat. And whole week after work, you see King George V Park. Go by King George V Park. Everybody have their little piece of section off.
Philip, I remember a long time when I growing up, when I finished school 2:30.
Look at the sweat.
When I was going to St. Anthony's College, well, the ground's inside the college, so you're not going to go anywhere. It's sweat. Lunchtime is sweat.
Yeah.
15-minute recess is sweat. When I started to go St. George's College, Barataria football grounds right across the road
Across
from
the
St.
road.
George's College. I grew up on 6th Avenue.
Yeah.
When I come out, when you go down in 6th Avenue from all 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it had a league running. It had football playing, you're on the sideline, you're
It's
like,
like that. That is one of the
But-
more...
You can
Yeah.
imagine your whole community come out.
Yeah.
Stephan kicking ball today, right? And Stephan have his followers and
Right.
get some skills.
Yes.
So the whole community
Yes.
coming out. Then all of a sudden KFC and Be Mobile and Digicel want to put some
Want to
money.
sponsor.
They want it because all they want is
That's what they do.
Yeah.
They want that.
They took the simplicity and the effectiveness of a community ground in its simple form, right? And they left it there to deteriorate, and they totally neglected the community because they just shut down everything, and we start to build big stadium like we have people to put in it.
No, well, that,
We do have money to go in there,
Go back and tell us what York structures built.
but
Those
gosh,
children used to sweat there.
Right.
And they didn't need no permission. You build a stadium and you lock it.
you have a,
I was going to say,
That's what they do.
well, who else is that place?
I could have gone the grounds for free, me and my partner and them.
Yeah.
We put on 2 posts, we take our sweat. If men come
Force
and they
the
stand
bus.
up on the sideline, so, oh, you're sweating? Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Jump on
That's
board.
how you get to know people.
Jump on board.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how you build the
That's how you build
community.
community.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all right, take off your jersey, you're playing with them over so. Because one side playing with jersey on, one side playing with jersey off. And everybody's sweating. And after the sweat, you get to know the person.
Yeah.
You get to know 2, 3 people in the community you never know before.
Within
They
sports
come in
and
to look.
agriculture,
Let me tell you
sports and
something.
agriculture, turn
They
this
come
whole
in,
country
they come in
around
to
here.
look for
Two
sweat
things, just
the
two
next
things.
day.
So
Are they
right.
coming out here tomorrow? Yeah.
So you're
We say at the same
So
time.
excited. You get, look, India just built the biggest cricket stadium in the world.
Right.
They just built it.
What's it cost? More than the Banana Stadium.
It costs less than Napa. But check this. You put $1 billion in football, right?
And big in India is bigger because India is almost the size of China.
India's 1 point something
It's the
billion
It's the
people.
biggest in the world now. It's the biggest in the
I'll
world,
check
right?
that later.
So today that's 60. Yeah.
Catch it and throw it outside. No, look. Trinidadians.
A 6 days 12.
No, they might change our rule just now. They might change our rule just now.
No more punch. So you spend $1 billion in football.
Yeah.
You spend a piece of money behind cricket. I don't know many people still playing cricket, but you spend a piece of money behind cricket because everywhere that you're putting down grounds, you're coming to build some nets.
Yeah.
Because they have nobody in cricket like the field. We bowling or we batting. So you put him down. A lie.
I bowling like batter.
You bowling at him.
You're feeling it.
When you feel you're talking shit. You just talk shit and you feel it. Just give man shit.
What I was saying is, for to practice,
That's it.
to practice cricket, is two things you're practicing.
Yeah.
Bowling or batting.
Yeah.
So in every
No, you have to
place,
practice feeling too. You have to practice feeling too. Oh God.
You have to practice.
Your
You have to
practice
practice.
feeling too.
Watch me. You ain't want to go to catch a ball and you ain't catch it. You'll get talked for the whole week.
If you're batting and bowling, you
so
must
that's
feel
for
You
well.
understand?
No,
We
but
can't catch.
But that is for sure. But I'm telling you,
It's not a high
what you
energy.
need to build is nets. Nets all through the country. Look at the next thing.
That's not. You ever play cricket? And a man can't catch a ball and they just put him in a spot where the ball is going at all. Now, also.
Isn't that funny?
To the right, there, right there.
That is where they used to put me.
You know the ball is going at all. It's not going at all.
Watch me, you just stand up there and the ball coming to you, you fight me. Because they play so far. They play so far that for the ball to be coming at you, the whole place see the ball coming to you. So you know everybody eye on you and you stand there and you say, oh God, I never catch it now.
I know when we play that match at time, boy, and it's the man tell him, oh God, where's the fellow, the boy will sue, boy. Wilson!
Go down the road.
And Wilson back in. Wilson reach off the field behind the ball, right there. Wilson drop 2 catch.
Bring it back.
Oh, God.
Bring it back. But you see the value of sports?
Yeah.
See the value of sport, the things we're talking, knit the communities back
Yeah.
together. We're talking just this, we're talking the purpose of it. Get the parks to work for our entertainers, our dancers, our poets, our talk. People, I would just call it the talk. They have a kind of culture now where it's like poetry, but it's hip hop.
Oh, spoken word.
Spoken word, right?
Yeah, spoken word.
Spoken word, all of that. Give people, because if you come out and everybody lining round the bandstand in the park tonight, and you come out and you singing crap, they go, booyah. The market will declare, and it will, but imagine you outside there and a Trinidad Kelly Clarkson come on the microphone, because we have plenty people who have no access to the exposure.
Yeah.
And people filming this thing and it goes viral on the internet and Simon Cowell call her. And I'm not joking. That's how it happens. That's how it happens. Use the facilities that we already have to build the country. So I tell you, I wouldn't build a single greenhouse in this country. When they call me on the media, they ask me about the strawberries and the berries that they grow, and I say, but these people mad. Trinidad have so much natural fruit that grow in this place wild.
Yeah.
You go in and grow an air-conditioned thing to grow foreign people thing?
Yeah.
We are a
Fancy,
confused, we are a
fancy.
confused little people.
Fancy.
And it's still important.
You know
It's
something?
important, yeah.
You touch on something that I was going to ask Errol Fabian and did this. I go to one or two of the comedy shows that have in Napa and so forth. And I wonder why they never choose to do a series. Like how I watch Bill Cosby.
A sitcom.
Series, a sitcom.
A sitcom.
Because they have talent, and them fellas are raw talent.
Remember this boy from
And I
Jamaica
think
used to
that-
that all about.
Timpan Ali.
Yeah, we used to that long time.
Yeah, but why
that was-
stop?
Because you
Money,
don't mass
money,
produce,
money not- yeah.
you don't mass produce the Hall brothers. It was Tony Hall and Sprangalang that gave us. Remember that thing he did, Dallas. When Dallas was a thing, I teach Bella that. My daughter know that song. Because of that show, that stick in my head. But them fellas talented, you're correct.
Yeah.
After Carnival, Miguel Brown, Llewellyn McIntosh, Mighty Short Pants, these are two of my former teachers in St. Mary's College. Miguel Brown, Llewellyn McIntosh, and a bunch of others. Let's do a thing in Queen's Hall after Carnival, a comedy show. But it is the highlight of the Carnival for me. Honestly, that to go to that show after. We don't have enough space and facilities for our comedians to do their shows and make a money. Not every show have to be big like Queen's Hall. Some shows could be like, we used to have this place in Breton Hall. What do you used to call it? Spaniards or something. Spaniards Inn. That little Carib.
Yeah.
If you're going to put money in culture, the culture must reach the people who making the culture.
I want to
culture,
encourage them fellas. I want to encourage them, fuel them.
Get them
When they'll
up.
finish
Listen,
go
that
so.
industry have a lot of talent, you know. You have a
Yes.
whole Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival that takes place every
You
September.
had some.
We
Yeah,
supposed
you
to
can
have
use
it.
the community centers.
Let me
You
tell
can
you
get them
something.
community centers. They used to build a Belmont community center. And a woman take me there. She said, "This finished built 3 months now. You know, they never open it."
But one of the investments we don't make is in the film industry, the local film
Exactly,
industry. We don't
and it
make
has
certain investment.
potential. It has potential.
It have potential, but
Yep.
the money not there. It's not
What
there.
we
The
call
support
it,
not
Trilly
there.
wood?
What?
So why not?
Trilly wood?
Surely would? Oh God.
You sang it too close to.
My silence. My silence is my answer.
Yeah.
But I know
Well,
people. I know people who are Trinidadians
Yeah.
who are in the United States of America. Jared Joseph. Jared Joseph, who did Scarlet, Men in Grey, Flight to the Ibis.
Yeah.
Yes,
He
sir.
over there about 30 years now. As in the industry, I watch him on. He getting bit parts on shows like Law and Order, Special
Yeah.
Victims Unit,
Yeah.
and things like that, right? So he understanding the industry a little bit. Tanil Nuwalo, I think she was the one behind Cutlass.
Yes.
So they are Trinbagonians who outside there wetting their feet in the international
Yeah.
industry.
We just need some support.
They just
give
need-
them
We
some
just need the
support.
financing down here, you know.
Just
That's
some
all we
support.
need.
But money is important.
You need a
But
budget to make a movie.
facilities,
Yep.
platforms.
Yeah.
You need the ability. And I tell people all the time,
You can say we have the facilities, and it's just how we manage
We
and
don't- yeah.
utilize the
I-
for your access to the facilities you don't have.
Jesus, as a government, I would say here going on. One solar panel show in my facility, it's free.
Salman,
I want it free. I want to let it be moving around
Salman,
doing this
we've
thing.
never had a proper mayor of Port of Spain. I remember I wrote something a couple years ago, and it really did go viral, and it was predicated on this. When they paved the savannah and all those people came to sell in the savannah,
Yeah.
it showed that there is a market for that. There are
Yeah,
people who want
yes,
it.
yes.
When Port of Spain closed at 5 o'clock in the evening, Port of Spain done. Why Brian Lara Promenade is not lit? Tables and
I
chairs,
thought that was the purpose.
security.
I
believe
really
that's
thought-
what it was. And on either side, so from the cathedral to Hyatt, on both sides of Brian Lara, because you have parking,
Yeah.
you have plenty parking.
Yep. No
And-
traffic, so you could
and
park.
the same thing we're talking about. All for that whole run of the promenade, little stages, people doing their little thing, display art.
I really thought that was the purpose, you know.
But you could imagine how much food vendors on
Oh,
either
Lord,
side.
oh, Lord,
So
oh,
you not,
Lord.
I
So
not
you
con-
would not have a need for
Like
the
in Barbados, I think Barbados have an entire
No, what, drink rum.
Barbados have an entire strip with just
That's-
food and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
drinks and
Yeah.
More smile.
alignments for it.
Imagine the Brian Lara Promenade with that many food vendors sucking
Yes.
10, 15,000 people into Port of Spain
Yeah,
in the
kind of
night. Now all
employment
of a
you
sudden,
created.
you want to open your bar there.
Yeah.
Because now,
That way the people,
No,
that way the
that's what
activity
people
The
are-
problem is Port of Spain.
So-
Port of Spain has become a place where nobody don't want to go live in the night.
but if you say that, what is it difference? Outside here, Park Street stops and Arapita Avenue starts. Outside here.
Yeah.
So this is it here. You were supposed to be able to suck that into here. What makes people not like it down here? Lack of parking, lack of security, lack of lighting, are giving you all of that and more. Are putting that. So the state, you ask what to do with the budget, the state say, okay, we will spend $50 million on Port of Spain for entertainment purposes, and anybody want to come and sell food,
Sell,
any
come
of
and
the
sell,
food
come
vendors,
and sell.
I charge you $10 a month.
Yes,
I
yes.
charging you $10
Yeah.
a month.
Yep.
You understand what I'm trying to tell you? But you're creating opportunities for people to start their own businesses.
Yeah.
You're creating entrepreneurs, they're hiring people, they're buying from the farmers. Woodford Square. You think Woodford Square should be closed at night? Woodford Square should be the entertainment hub. We don't have to go and stand up and chuck and jam and drink on Arapita Avenue if we open Woodford Square again.
Well, if any square is
used to
supposed to
be-
be
it used to
secure,
be
it's supposed to be Woodford. It's right next to the Red House and the Hall of Justice. It should be one of
But
the
they should have
safest
live
places. It should be well lit.
entertainment. They should
You
have
know?
live entertainment going
Well,
on in
they
Woodford
could
Square.
open it back. I mean, they closed down the steel
And
people
the
who
simple
was-
things
they
we're
said those
talking,
people gate
the
and all
simple
that
things
and
we speak about here today is really turning around this whole economy, you know. And we are talking of $56 billion, you know.
And exactly, your
We're not
budget will
talking
come,
that
your
yet,
budget
you
will
know.
come down under 30 billion and you'll save money. And I want to tell you, you put money in the Heritage and Stabilization
Of
Fund.
course.
When people tell me you can't do all that in 5 years,
No,
I
less
wonder
than
if they
5 years.
think Then the whole government they sit down and say, all right, we're going to fix water. And when water done,
But then we
5
do
years
this.
from now,
Then we do this.
No
No.
work so.
You have a minister of water.
Yeah.
That's he work. You have a minister of health.
But
That's
all
he
these
work.
things could run
Minister of
parallel and
culture.
move.
But you are talking about things: sport, culture, agriculture.
Agriculture.
See those three things?
Yeah.
They are the bastard children of the budget. They don't get support.
true.
The government have no vision.
Yeah.
They don't open the door to people who have the vision to come and say, because you're not getting the thief money in that.
You know it's a nice
But you
project.
realize these three things deal with liking people, eh?
You have to like people.
It was a nice-
Interaction,
That is
eh?
people
You know a nice
politics.
project?
These
a nice
three things, interaction, eh?
You know what I like to see?
And all the rest is about keeping people apart.
It was a nice project and I like to see.
And separating the economy.
You realize that?
Right?
You know a nice project that I like to see? You see from Mofa Junction come straight in the Port of Spain and Eastern Road. All they find is look.
Well, dark and dismal in the night.
But brother,
That's a nice project, you know, to kind of
we create criminals in this country by abandoning
whole strip
people.
right there from
You
Mova
see,
Junction
all
to straight
those
to
people
Port
who live in East Port of Spain, they would come and set up shop on that Brian Lara
On the Brian Lara promenade.
either side. You could give them work. You're gonna need people to maintain the place. You're
Like a
gonna light
thinking
it
about
up
it, boy.
and put nice overhead lights like how they do. You know them hanging bulbs in that style now. So you can imagine that place at Christmas time. You can imagine that place at cultural times, Diwali and stuff where people
Yeah.
could come there.
Let me ask a hypothetical question. If the crabs in a barrel know they could get out and there's a door to get out, will they be pulling down each other? No, they'll just go out the door. So we create a crab in a barrel. This is all of them inside, they're pulling down each other, you know. But if they know there's a way out, you know, they'll go out the
They'll go
door.
out.
But you know what we're doing here? What we're doing here is,
So we create a
but-
barrel and put people in a barrel, you
what
know.
we're doing here is mashing up the barrel.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
conversation.
That's
Mashing
what
up
we
the
have to
barrel.
do.
Yeah,
So
mash up
people
that
know,
barrel.
hey, I'm not bounded by walls again. I could
Exactly.
go free. What society has done is put them in a barrel, so that we behave like crab in a barrel and we pull each other down
When
and so
you
forth.
talk about agro-processing, you need two things. You need milling and
Yeah.
pasteurizing.
Yep.
That's it. Milling and pasteurizing.
the
After that is
simplest set of
packaging. You understand what I'm saying?
manufacturing- simplest set of
So it
manufacturing.
is, when you have to set up an agro-processing facility, is a mill, something to crush it, something to raise the temperature and kill the bacteria,
Yeah.
and something to package it. That's it. That's a factory.
So you can use steam or dehydration. It's simple. Dehydration or steam.
So,
Steam
so,
against plates and
so you
primary
move.
school
So
engineering.
you move. You create agriculture and you're feeding the nation. Now people talking about how I gonna make our money. Come and rent the facilities.
Yep.
Come on, you do pepper sauce. Pepper sauce is a growth industry worldwide. Louisiana built on Tabasco. Yeah? Tabasco.
Yeah, boy.
Why we don't have our Trinidad pepper sauce
Yeah, that's
all over the world?
All over the world.
That's not what you say. Is one product you mentioned, eh?
pepper sauce.
Okay.
Going back to pepper, you talk about the
One
scorpion
product.
and
Tabasco.
pepper mash and
I have a partner of mine
and that's just one. That's just one of many.
He doing dashing bush flour powder in Trinidad right now. So you want to make your callaloo?
But now look up.
Take a spoon of the powder, put it in the pot, you get
But look at what
callaloo.
Guyana did.
So you are not peeling and da 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 da.
look at what Guyana
You know the
do.
problem? You can't get enough dashing bush.
Guyana packaged tomato choker,
You can't get enough
package it
dashing
in a
bush.
powder form,
Yeah.
so they could export it to the world, and all you have to do is add water
So
and
imagine
just
this.
turn it up.
I know if anybody ever try to buy dashing bush in the US, it's dry leaf and thing again and so forth.
Yeah.
We are processing dashing bush powder.
Yeah.
Fresh dashing bush powder, green and nice. Export that. You want to make a callaloo in the state, take a
But you
spoon.
can't freeze it like you freeze it like how you freeze
You
spinach.
don't no need.
No, but
That's
just
why
asking.
you could if you want, of course,
No,
if you
just
want.
We have
It
about 5 minutes.
Yeah, it is
They
different.
take the powder, put it in and make it.
Yeah,
and so
frozen
forth.
tomato
Listen.
does taste different when it
So-
becomes.
I ball when I see my mother bring back a box of pepper pot from Guyana. Pre-packaged
Yeah.
pepper pot.
All that is
Pepper
mixed
pot is, yeah.
Rehydrate.
Pepper pot
Yeah.
is a mainstay in my family because my grandmother was Guyanese. Right? So we had this tradition of pepper pot. Good? And I could tell you, the cash reap, it hard to get it, a little expensive. And you know, it's a little process. And Guyana has packaged that in a box that you just had to throw it out with the meat, everything in it. It had beef, everything in it.
That's hotter then.
You just add water and put it
I
on the
heard
stove
that.
for
I
2
went
minutes
in
and that's
Artie's
it.
Wow.
the other day.
Talk done. Pepper pot.
Somebody in Diego Martin put in 4 dal puri roti in a bag, and coming next step is bowls, plastic bowls, pumpkin, bodi, chicken, chana, whatever you want. You grab your 4 roti skin already in the pack, and those things you take it and you put in the fridge, you warm it up on
Phillip, when foreigners come in, when tourists come into Trinidad and Tobago, you know the one thing they always talk about? The food, the flavor. They love the food here. You understand?
Trinidad, and so to
don't
bring
market
this to a close then, because then we touch on, and we barely touch on things like agriculture, culture, and sports.
Yeah, 3 things.
Those 3 things will turn our country around, put
Upside
our
down.
people to work,
Yeah.
save us money,
Build
build
back
back our
community.
communities. I mean, it is just win, win, win,
Yes,
win, win,
yes.
win, win, win,
And
win.
it's
Just-
low cost activity, yeah? These are expensive activities, yeah?
Exactly.
Okay. These are expensive activities.
Brother man, if you was the government and you said these are our 3 growth poles to bring our country back, this is it.
Yeah.
We're going to focus on that. Whatever money we get from the industrial sector, going straight
into heritage and civilization. For
If we know that we have $22 billion as our recurring expenditure in the country, because I tell you, $22 billion is high for recurring
Yeah,
expenditure.
for a small country like
Because
this.
the state shouldn't have to be paying so many subsidies and, pay.
And that is because again the economics we don't focus on productivity.
Yep.
So our collective bargaining, everything is just configured wrong. Right? We don't focus on those things. And the thing is, even if we do that you are asking, it will still cost that in the long run, because most of the things we're talking about to develop the agro-processing and all that kind of thing, it will take some time, and recurrent expenditure takes up a heavy part of the budget. So you will still have to have those kind of things happening, because people have to live, things have to continue,
No, but what you're saying
and
is,
at the same time
No.
build.
that money coming not from the taxpayers
Well, I'm
now.
not going and say that.
It's not the
if you
taxpayers
create
gonna
if
pay. You
energize
say the
this
22
industry,
billion still
I'm
gonna spend.
self-sufficient. I don't need government
The
no
taxpayer
more.
not paying it.
I don't need you no more.
You could drop taxes. The taxpayer don't have to pay URP if they don't have no more URP.
If they're self-sufficient.
They're self-sufficient, because all those
Yeah.
people, what he said is a fact.
Yeah.
If you give people hope and opportunity, get out their way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get out their way. Give people access to fellas training interns as a farmer. You went through, government don't have to pay nobody $20 an hour. The farmer who have the farm paying
Glad to
them.
have you.
And you make sure, look, all right, so what you learn how to grow, you have half acre, let me test you.
Yeah.
You go. You know a farmer. And when your crop grow, we either buy all from you or go to a market and sell it.
Simple example, the 25 people I use from URP, like 25 less need URP, you know.
Yeah.
And all we had to do is expand that, you know. That's all we had to do, and expand it. And the thing about it, what's interesting about it, the willingness those young people demonstrated
Hope
in
is a powerful
agriculture.
thing.
Oh, man.
Hope is a
Listen,
powerful
Hey,
thing.
I was
But
amazed.
I know we're wrapping up now, so let me tell you, I don't know when you coming with on Monday, but I'm sure that the people watching the program
Right now, they're changing
now,
the budget. They're changing it right now.
they're changing it right now.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
they
so
hear
too.
the
After they hear
But I know a lot of the
Yeah.
people that watching, when we started talking about the budget, you know, people were probably expecting me to talk about crime, to talk about education.
No, but if you fix
One
these
usual
things,
suspect.
crime is
Stick this in
irrelevant.
it. Stick this in what he just said.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired tell people this. If the government run the country on people policies, you never have to
have
talk
to
about
talk about
crime.
crime.
You never have to talk about crime. The $9 billion that we spend every year on national security, we don't have to spend that.
Exactly, we
Exactly
could
so.
bring down,
Exactly.
that cost.
You
So,
just
so,
have to look at countries like Barbados, right in Caribbean. I have
Correct.
examples.
Yeah.
You know.
Crime is not
So I mean,
conversation.
I hope people who watching the program today, when we talk budget, is a different vision, is a different
Yeah.
perspective. I know a lot of people expected that they're going to talk about crime, especially to start with the crime conversation and youths and development and what happened with Pennywise and where the guns coming
You
from
see
and this
where
and
you took the
that.
conversation?
Yeah.
You see where you took the conversation? When you spoke about what happened, it immediately went to where you could have go for it not to happen.
Where the solution is.
Yes.
That's where
That's right.
that is where governance comes into
We
the
Preventing
got to
it,
keep
right.
the conversation
And
right
that is
there.
what government is for.
And I-
the well-being of the citizens is
Yeah.
the function and purpose of government.
Of government.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that is where we had to start. You see where Matheson took us there with the agriculture. food production, food security, and everything else that we tie into it.
Yeah.
I think that's where we need to go if we really want to solve the problems in the country. Because I honestly believe that if you, that 100 out of 100 people would tell you they'd rather be independent than dependent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And culture, sport, and agriculture, those three things are pivotal to the redevelopment of Trinidad and Tobago. David Welch asked me to say that if you want to advertise on Rum Shop Talk, you could call Felicia Holder, and if you want to, let me just read this so I don't say it wrong. Advertising on the Rum Shop Talk, call Felicia Holder at 769-4590, or you could call Sahai. What's Sahai number? 3747. They will get a number for you.
All right.
But they will put it on the thing.
Let's call Felicia.
Call Felicia at 769-4590. If you want Rum Shop Talk in your restaurant, your bar, your community, call David Welch at 2824798 or Satish Ramsaran at 796-8172.
Right. Yes,
just before you close.
No, final words. Final. You could.
Final words. No, it's just some. I donated some blood in Mount Hope.
You want it back?
No. In Mount Hope Blood Bank earlier this month and so forth. But I really like to thank those staff there for the level of professionalism and so forth. And they inspire me to donate blood, really and truly. Really and truly.
People is good people. You know.
They're good people.
Give the people pride in their job.
Say yes.
Watch me now. If those nurses who work in Port of Spain General Hospital wasn't working in that deplorable condition, you spoke about
environment again is the environment that you put people
those were so professional all the way.
Why you think they perform better in the private sector?
Why you think they perform better in New York City?
Exactly.
They will buy.
In London.
They will take all our nurses, you know. The only thing that keeps our nurses here is they have family here in Trinidad. They have to leave Trinidad. You know, that's where we come from. But our nurses, our law enforcement, police officers and things, they want them bad. They want our technicians, Trinidadians, when we land in foreign and we have hope and opportunity, sky is the limit.
They excel.
So I just want to people donate blood.
Nice, man.
Monto, donate blood.
Patterson, tell them.
Yeah, I think it was a good program. We segue into something that could really develop Trinidad and Tobago in a critical way, and I think it was a good program.
Proud of today. I'm proud of the Rum Shop Talk here because, to be honest, and Selvon, you're regular on the show. I mean, just now we're going up with a panel of regulars and new guests. But the truth of the matter is, when you listen to solutions, when you sit down in a discussion of solutions, it's inspiring, it's make you want to get up tomorrow and go out there and get this job done. We could fix everything that is wrong in this country. There is nothing that is wrong in Trinidad and Tobago that cannot be fixed. It is the politics that is ruining this country. And all of us, red, white, black, green, and every shade in between, and yellow, and we have to come to terms with that reality that we've allowed politics to mash up paradise.
Yeah. All right, so with that, we'll be back next week because next week, we will have a look at the budget. Yeah, I don't know if you'll have an economist in the Rum Shop.
And we'll be able to say, we told
you so. All right, people, so until next week, be safe. All right, and just watch your back out there. I saw 2 videos in Diego Martin with 2 attempted carjackings.
Wow.
So be careful because if you're in a vehicle and your vehicle on, be on the alert. 2 people nearly get taken. One was parked up. So people like to park up like me. That's how I got taken. But my vehicle was on. My door was open, was off. So they kind of catch me different. But the two drivers were able to escape. Okay. They just pull off on them, but they jump out the car to try and take the vehicle from them. So they're on the prowl, and it happened plenty in the West. Diego Martin, and I saw more footage in St. James. Some fellas trying to break in on the San Juke. The fella break the back glass and climb through the back window, but it was about 4:26 a.m. And people like they get up and they come outside. So just be on your guard. Don't let your guard down, and do not don't park up in the road and sit down in the car on your phone, or if you're waiting on somebody, make sure you're monitoring everybody and everything that moves. They're moving in a white Tida. or a white AD wagon, but it's the same characters.
Just be vigilant
Yeah.
all the time.
We in the rum shop.
We in the rum.
I go drink to that.
We in the rum shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
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 So bring a rum, bring it come in the rum shop talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So bring a rum, bring it come in the rum shop talk.
Yeah.